Good morning.
Morning, Susan.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too. I saw you at the store the other day. I said hello, but you didn't hear me.
I have a twin sister, and she looks a lot like me.
Wow.
I know.
Huh. Okay. Maybe it was her because I said hello, Susan, and
Oh yeah.
She must be busy. I didn't know you had a twin sister.
Yeah, and we've done that. We've messed people up before.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if that ever happens, it's not me. That's her.
Not a problem. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like as we get older, we're just getting to look more alike, not less. Not less alike. I know.
I look more like my older sister for sure now. Yeah. I noticed
crazy.
that too. I sound like her. I look like her.
Yeah. It's crazy. Cool. So let me see here. I'm waiting for this is for Ignite. You're here for Ignite, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm waiting for Erin to make me host so I can share my screen. And let me get my presentation over here ready. Okay.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing,
Good.
David?
It's the very first part of the day, so I can't do anything but good.
That's a good way to look at it, right?
We had a thing, well, I had a thing in software development. Give it time, somebody will show up to screw it up.
That's true. That's true. And then we just got to roll with it, right?
You bet.
Okay.
No.
Oh, can you guys see that?
Don't say anything right now. Nope. I saw something a little while ago, but now we're just back to our videos of each other.
Okay. Host disabled. Participant screen sharing. So you don't see any Ignite presentation going on?
No.
Just yours, just the screen we're looking at right now, just with us.
Oh,
I saw it. I did see it a minute ago, but then it came back to just this.
Okay. Let me see. Can you see that now?
Nope.
Nope. Scheduling made easy? Is that what it is?
What successful agents do every day?
Okay, nope. Nope, that is not what I'm saying here. Something else. It's probably not you.
Hey, Trevor.
I know that Erin will probably be coming on here. I don't think I am in here as a host. Well, I wouldn't have been able to because I wasn't in here when she opened up the room. So they're probably finishing up something and will make me host when they get on. And then I can do that. Whoa, someone's feedback is really yucky.
That sounds like a robot.
Jennifer Kim, maybe. Are you there, Jennifer Kim?
Yes.
I think if you could mute yourself, you might be tossing some feedback at us. Oh, there you go. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And Tim did text me that he would jump on at 8:59 this morning to help us out with making me host. And I'm texting them to have them help us do that.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
All right. I'm so excited you're here.
Me
We're
too.
ready to go. I'm going to make you a co-host.
Awesome.
And then you can share your screen. I will watch the chat for you today and drop materials in. Do you want me to let you know if there's questions and things like that?
That'd be great.
Okay.
I
I don't know
tend
if
to
you can
not,
see it.
I have, when I'm on Zoom teaching a contracts class, I can always see it, but for some reason, when I do Ignite, I don't always see the chat.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I asked, because sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't. I really don't know what
Don't know
it's about.
why.
Yeah, I would love to be able to give the answer to that, but I don't have it.
We're only going to read the nice comments, Susan. Don't worry.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yep.
you can skip over the other ones. I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
Chad from Ohio says your hair looks great.
All right,
Okay.
I'm going to bring us over to Facebook. It's just now 9 o'clock. We'll probably have people continuing to come in.
Yep. Perfect.
How dare you start on time?
I know.
I have to say, when I worked at Liberty Mutual before this, and for those of you that don't know, my husband got his real estate license first, and then when I got my real estate license, and we would go to trainings or meetings, they never started on time in real estate. And at Liberty, if you were not there 10 minutes early, you were late.
Yeah.
Yeah, military time. Yeah,
So it was one of the hardest things for me to get used to. I'm like, why don't we start
early
things
is on time is late. Correct. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so do I hit play from start or set up
Play
slideshow?
from start. Play from start, and
Okay.
it might start skating on you automatically. Then you just want to go to you want to go change your view because you're in.
Am I in a bad view right now?
Well, end the show. Go back to end the show.
End the show.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you later.
The veal. Try
Thank
the
you.
veal.
Just see everything. That's all.
Yeah,
A day
just
in the life was great. Now we're done.
You just want to go to
Goes by
Over.
fast. I
Play-
had hit.
present. Yeah, you were in. I think you were in presenter view.
I
So,
was.
maybe undo that. I don't know, but go back to play from current slide.
Oh,
It's
that's
doing it again. Yeah,
play
Try-
from current slide. Looks
Yeah.
like this.
it's doing
How
that
about
again.
slideshow? Play from start.
Still doing it. Interesting.
Do you have multiple screens, Susan?
I do, but I had only put to share my second screen.
Hmm.
Hold on, I'll figure this out. Slideshow. Still?
Yeah.
Yep. It's weird.
Okay, hold on.
Um,
Let me do this again. I'm going to stop my screen share.
Mhm. It's all right. How did we do on 10-4? We discussed that already, Erin?
nope. I just was getting us over to Facebook. So nope, we haven't gotten there yet.
Who's got success stories to talk about from this past week or since we started March 1st? Anybody? Robin Rainville does. You can unmute and say hi. Tell us what happened.
Hello,
Maybe.
just, no, actually, just telling you, we can see the full screen now, that's all.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. So, are you adding contacts? How's that going? Are you having conversations? Are you previewing homes? Have you written some handwritten notes? There you go, Susan. You got it. Nailed it.
Use slideshow. Perfect.
There we
I
go.
wrote and sent out some notes from the people that I did actually call, which wasn't a ton, but better than none. I'm also a waitress, so I get a lot of talk at my job. So I actually got 2 appointments set. One of them's just a quick check out the house so then I can do a CMA.
Yeah.
But the other one is very interested in being a buyer, which isn't a listing, but it'll do.
So
It's an opportunity to reverse engineer a listing though, right?
No, he's renting.
No, my point being though,
Oh.
he's going to be looking for something to buy.
Oh, for
We
sure.
currently
yeah.
have 0.0 available homes on planet Earth. So now you get to go
Right.
find the house for him. Right.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's literally kind of what I told him. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go hunting for people
Yeah.
to sell their houses so you could buy it. So Yep,
Change the
definitely.
way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. You can
Yeah,
find them if they're not
absolutely.
listed. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's exciting and they're very nice. So I'm excited to help them get their happy home, you know?
Cool.
It's good.
Cool. Awesome. Is everyone ready to get going? We're now officially
Yes.
4 minutes behind, so we're gonna,
Yep.
and I sometimes tend to go long, so we're just gonna get started and jump right in. Okay, if everyone's here for Ignite, a day in the life of an agent, you're in the right place. So that's a great start. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Susan Kenyon, and I am out of the Portsmouth, New Hampshire Market Center. I have had my license since 2013. My husband and I work together. We are spouses selling houses, and that does work for us. Anything, when I teach anything, I tend to come from, you know, my area, which is of production. So while we're still in production, that's kind of the flavor that I have when I'm teaching anything. So if you have anything to share, I also love to be interrupted and participation, and put your videos on so I can see you guys. I'm a people person, so I like Zoom so that I can see people's faces because I miss being in front of them. So just unmute yourself and jump right in if you have a question. I will try to remember, or I intend to remember, to take a bathroom break around 10:30, 11. But if I forget, which could very well happen, just jump right in and say, "Hey, we need a 10-minute break," and we can do that. So welcome to a day in the life of an agent, and I have taught a few different Sparks, but not this one. So I'm really excited today to do a new class. Um, we're going to be setting expectations for what your days should be looking like, and what I love about the whole course is that KWU asked, what are successful agents doing? And they took that data, and that's how they came up with this course material in, hey, why recreate the wheel? If they're collectively doing the same things and are being very successful at it, let's do that. Let's do more of that. So if you have any ideas or suggestions as we go, come on, jump right in and let us know what your thoughts are. So we always start with growing our business and running our business. So the goal of our time here is to model what successful agents are doing, and to show you guys how to do it. We're going to bring a lot of different materials in. We're going to talk about the what you've learned and practiced so far. We're going to talk about 411s. And I always like to remind people, we're going to talk about growing our business, which looks like lead generation. If that sounds scary to you, that's okay, but it is definitely one of the biggest components that you're going to have to master. And there's lots of different ways to do lead generation for buyers and for sellers, but we always love to focus on sellers, because if you have sellers, you'll have buyers. Getting listings is really just a fantastic way to build your business. Where growing your business also looks like making seller listing presentations and getting listings, um, knowing your paperwork and getting those listings signed, and making buyer presentations and getting buyer agency agreements signed. And growing your business looks like previewing real estate. It's important for us to know what we're looking at. We have to be getting inside houses. We have to learn how to look at them from a perspective of, what is a buyer going to be looking at? From a perspective of, I'm going to consult with this seller on their home, and what do they need to do to get this property ready for the market? And when if we're talking about taking buyers into homes for showings, they're looking at the size of the kitchen or the master bedroom, or where is their couch going to fit? We're looking at other things. So it's learning to go into homes and be looking at things that could be potential pitfalls, pluses or minuses for your buyer and seller clients. So previewing real estate is super important too. And we are going to then, once you grow your business, you get the privilege of being able to run your business. If you can't grow it, you never get to the right side of the page. So after we focus on the growing part and we're mastering those, we get to have some fun on the running our business. And what does that look like? That looks like, market seller listings. We get the listing signed. Now we have to market that and we have to sell it. And that's really important, right? Because when a buyer sees a house for the first time, that's their second showing. Their first showing is what they saw online. When they are at the grocery store doing this flip, 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 looking through pictures. That's marketing. They are seeing the home for the first time. If you haven't done great online marketing, they're saying no on their phone and they don't come back and say yes. So you don't always get a second chance to get that online marketing right. So you got that's a super important part to marketing your seller listings. And then what do we get to do? We get to show buyers houses. And, some folks don't like to take out buyers. Some folks really only like to work with buyers. But there is a skill to showing buyers houses. Um, a lot of times when I talk to folks that will call me and they'll say, "Hey, I'm thinking of getting my real estate license because I just love houses." That's great. That's a good start, but showing houses is like a part of our job. It's not the entirety of our job. When we show buyers houses, we're on purpose about it. This is a sales job, folks. So if you're here wanting to learn about being an agent, I hope that you know that you're in sales. So we're always selling. Um, and that is a component that goes into showing houses, showing buyers houses. And one of my favorites too, negotiating contracts. Anything with the word contract in it has me all over it. I love contracts. But negotiating contracts is a definite skill. And, we always want to create a win win for people, that we want to get our folks into a contract. We want it to be successful. We want to have great relationships along the way with both our customers, our clients, with our co-brokes. So negotiating contracts is an important skill that we'll be learning more about too in Ignite. Transaction management to closing. This is the contract to close piece. This is huge opportunity for you guys to be continuing to build your business during the contract to close component. This is where you really, if you nail your contract to close, you have the ability to wow your clients. And why is that important? Because we want more business from them. We're not here to do one transaction with them and then throw that contact out the window and move on to the next one. Repeat and referral business comes from doing a great job the first time. So when you nail your contract to close, you're setting yourself up to have repeat and referral business. So, the transaction management to closing is super important. Vendor management, relationships. Vendor management is all about partnering with the right people to get your clients through this transaction in the best possible way with the best possible outcome. And what is that? Who are those people? They're like, they're your lenders, they're your title companies, they're your home inspectors. They're whoever it's going to take to, or in some states, it's going to be attorneys. Those are the partnerships that you are developing. And, I like to call that a strategic team to my clients, that I build them a strategic team that gets us to the finish line. And running your business is setting goals. So we're going to talk a lot about setting goals today and the importance of goals and accountability. If you don't know where you're going, you're just here to have a good time. And really, we need to have a goal in mind, because I don't know about you guys. I love real estate, but I want to make money. I need to feed my family. I want to go on vacation, and I can't do those as effectively at a high level if I'm not setting the right goals. And compliance and risk management, that's definitely part of running your business. Compliance. Do you know your contracts? Do you know what your state rules and regulations are? Um, this is a great spot for me to remind you guys that I am licensed in New Hampshire and Maine. There's a lot of folks on here registered in other states. I will do my very best to not be state specific, but keep in mind that we always have to be adhering to what our state rules and regulations are, what the real estate laws are wherever you are practicing. And that's your job. It's your job to know what the rules and regulations are in your state so that you're not putting yourself, your broker, your market center, or your customers and clients at risk. And risk management, that is when a conflict or dispute comes up in a transaction, and how are we going to resolve that? That that happens, and I still call on my leadership all the time, and they help me. So congratulations to all of you for picking Keller Williams, because you picked a company that stands behind you, and we have great leadership, and we have great resources, and you have productivity coaches, and you have team leaders, and we have other agents in our market centers that actually will help us. That's not, common in every single brokerage. So, kudos to you for picking KW, because they will stand behind you, and we all want to see you succeed. But when the risk management pieces come into play and there's disputes, that is what your leadership is for. They will jump in and help you create and, turn a situation around to create a win-win for this transaction. Running your business is to attend training and getting coaching, which is what you're doing today. Super important. Training never ends. Coaching doesn't end. I mean, we should be constantly learning and growing so that we can better serve our clients and so that we can grow bigger and better businesses. And managing money. So we can make a ton of money, but if we're not keeping it, then what are you doing here? What are you doing? Otherwise, it's just charity. I'm just here to, meet new people. We have to manage our money and we have to pay our bills and we can't overextend. Do you know who the easiest people to sell stuff to is? Salespeople. We fall for everything. You're going to get phone calls. Buy my subscription. Buy these leads. We're the easiest targets. And I pray to that. I fall prey to that all the time myself. I have to consciously be looking at what am I currently paying for, and does that fit in with how I am managing my money and my profit and loss. So managing your money is important, and there's a really great session in Ignite that will be coming up in the element section on finances. But this
Quick
is the last day of Spark.
shameless plug, Susan, too, for season 5 of Think Like a CEO with Gary and Jay.
Mhm.
They're really focused on finances right now. And if you're thinking that, Gary's on a different level when it comes to money and I've got a lot of work to do, you can witness, since Jay has come into, contact with Gary over the past few years, how Jay and Wendy Pavazana have grown their money and their wealth just by being in alignment with Gary and thinking differently about finances. So if you have not listened to Think Like a CEO, season 5 is happening right now. And it's all about wealth management. So it's a great listen.
How can we attend this?
Just you can find it anywhere. If you go into Apple, anywhere you listen to podcasts, just go search "Think Like a CEO" and you'll track it down on whatever you listen to podcasts on. If you don't listen to podcast, you'll start with that one. It's a great podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just wrote that down because I haven't jumped in on that season either. So
we'll throw it in the chat.
Throw it in the chat, and that's part of the, me writing that down. That's part of me attending training and getting coaching, because no matter where you are in your business, you need to do that. But wow, this makes for a busy day, right? That was a lot of stuff that I just listed off for growing your business and running your business. Guess what? This is a full-time gig. To do this at a high level, you have to be able to have the time to do it. If you're starting out and you are still dual careering it, I totally get it. When you get to the goal session, what is your goal to make this a full-time gig? And working with your productivity coaches to get you there. Because this is a lot. This is a lot of work to do to nail all of this. All right. Anyone have any questions on growing, running? Okay. We are going to look at our roadmap for the day. And what that looks like is growing your business and running your business. It is setting weekly and daily objectives, AKA goals, creating accountability. We're going to talk about some ahas. So as we move along today, if something is resonating with you, jot it down so that we can share that when we get to some ahas. And, after this, we're going to do some daily success habits. There's building your database, there's script practice, there's lead gen. Lead gen. It's going to come up in conversation, hopefully during every session of Ignite, that we're going to be reminding folks of how important that is. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to start with this awesome quote from The One Thing. Gary Keller quotes F.M. Alexander, who says, "People do not decide their futures, they decide their habits, and their habits decide their future." And wow, that's like really true, isn't it? um, the today's session is to develop a plan to how to use your time effectively to fulfill whatever your mission, the company mission, to build a career worth having, a business worth owning, a life worth living, experiences worth giving, and a legacy worth leaving. And if you haven't heard that before, you'll hear it more and more. That really comes out a lot in a lot of the trainings that we do at Keller Williams. But start habits now that will ultimately create the future you want for yourself. So the habits that we build today is a little bit of a crystal ball to looking into the future that you're going to have. Another quote when I think about this particular slide: small things done consistently in strategic places create major impact. So Ignite is a long course, right? You guys are really committing to a lot of time. And at times when you're doing some, heavy learning, it can be overwhelming. But really, a lot of our business is simple. It's doing small things, but doing them consistently. Doing a small thing today that seems like a really great idea, like writing a handwritten note, is only impactful if you do it consistently over time. When the consistency is what will help in the habit, the consistency equals a habit, and the habit and the consistency is what will come back to you in the form of business. The goal: to build a plan on how to use your time effectively to fulfill your mission. When we talk about a day in the life of real estate agent, we want to help you build those daily habits so that you can be successful. Gary also teaches us that our current way of thinking leads to the behaviors that we have, which leads to the habits that we form and leads to our key relationships. We create great habits, and the success will come with it. And it sounds simple, but it's 100% spot on. It's exactly right. So we're going to talk a lot today about habits, and how are we spending our time. All right, you guys are quiet. Feel free to jump in anytime. We're all going to talk about what does our day look like? What do you think successful agents do every day? When you guys decided to get your real estate license, what did you think a successful agent would be doing every day?
I can tell you just from my point of view, I thought it was all about houses all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was like the biggest, like, wait, what? There's a bunch of other stuff?
Right, absolutely. I think that's probably pretty common. And I think that, when people sometimes get their license and then they realize there's all this other stuff that we have to do, they decide not to do it. Or they don't have the training to say, where do I actually start? What I love about Ignite is we're giving you the tools to actually start your business so that you don't get your license and sit down at a desk and go, okay, I put it out on Facebook that I have my license. Why isn't my phone ringing?
Yeah, I told everybody. Why haven't they called me
Yeah.
yet? Well, and
Shucks.
what's really intriguing, to Erin's point too, and Susan, you made this point. if you think about from the moment you decide that you're going to get into the industry and you start to sit through that licensing class, which is such a pleasure. Let's do it again, shall we? So you're sitting through that class, you start to realize as a human, wow, there's a lot more meat on this bone than I thought. So think of that when you start to encounter the civilians that only have the edumacation, that's my word for the day, write it down, the edumacation of HGTV.
Yep.
They think that homes get sold in 22 minutes minus commercial breaks, right? So that's the level of, I won't say stupid. That's the level of fascination they have when they start to work through the process with us. So we really like the three key words when we're dealing with our humans is communicate, educate, facilitate, right? We need to make sure that they understand what the process looks like, because it was probably shock and awe for a lot of you after you got through class number 1 of pre-licensing.
Yep.
Like, wow, this is a lot more than what it shows on TV. And there's
Yeah.
no 22-minute show of you guys doing the calls, right?
Yeah.
So to
Well,
Susan's
that's the
point, this
biggest
is the heavy
thing.
lift. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like there's the story of lead generation it's not like something everyone's, tuning in to watch, right? Like on HGTV. That's not like realtors crushing the phones, like
It's not glamorous, people, but
yeah. So nobody knows that part until
Mhm.
you get here, right? Like you don't really know.
that's true. That's true. But it's important, and
Yeah.
this is how we build our business, and they don't need to know that.
No,
They
no.
they don't need to know that, but we need to know that.
Yeah.
Part of my daily success habit is I get up and I get dressed for work every day. I don't show up in my sweatpants, even if I'm working out of my home office. And when COVID hit, that was, everyone shut down their offices. Everyone started working from home. For me, I have to get up. I have to do my hair. I have to put my makeup on. I have to wear work clothes, because now I'm changing my mindset, and I'm putting on my work face. I'm putting on my work clothes, and I'm going to be productive. I'm going to get some stuff done, because that's part of how I've always worked in other career jobs. So what does it look like for you? What works for you? We got to figure that out, people, so that you can be successful. And a lot of a day in the life of an agent is being on purpose about what we're doing every single day. At the beginning of the day, you should get motivated by reviewing your goals and your plan for the day. Motivating activities can vary. Like what motivates me might not motivate you. So choose an activity that will focus you and get you energized to have a win for the day. Like what's going to be my win today? Is it going to be setting an appointment? Is it going to be giving a listing presentation? What is the win going to be? And that can look different for everybody. For some people, it could be watching an inspirational video. For other people, they could, unfortunately, somebody in my office, for them, it's heavy metal music.
Oh,
I'm not a fan. They'll blast heavy, maybe blasting heavy metal music does it for you. If it does, great. Do that every day. For some people, it could be the opposite. They might want to be doing yoga or getting peaceful or getting calm. It might be affirmations, right? Get your mind right to start your day. So that beginning piece of our day, that 8 to 8:30, that's our time to say, I'm now being on purpose about setting my day up for success. Um, and then once you put your finger on that, then that's what you do every day. But now I'm going to throw a challenge in there for you. Between that 8 and 8:30 time slot, script. And we're going to talk about scripting later. Because we really want you to be by 8:30. We want you to be jumping on your lead gen. So if you have to maybe even bump your time slot up a little bit and maybe start your motivation earlier, so that you can fit in time to script, then do that, because what we say matters.
mhm. I love that you brought the uniform too, Susan. I think from a mental standpoint, jumping in the shower and preparing to be professional and just creating that habit of being, game ready. We've got a lot of people, and I know 4,000% of you are probably functioning from home, and I appreciate that. If you do have an office space, I would invite certainly the gentleman, have some sort of a button down on Oxford and a blazer ready to go. And again, dance to the music that's being played. If I'm going to do a second home in Wolfboro and the uniform up there is polo shirts and khakis, that's fine. It's just if you get that persnickety guy, if I'm calling Newcastle, New Hampshire, and the guy, and it's an expired, and he's like, you know what, Tim, you're about 15 minutes away. If you can be here in 20 minutes, I'll talk to you. And I'm, to Susan's point, I'm in yoga pants and an Anthrax t-shirt. Not a good scene. Sorry if you're eating, yeah. I mean, if that's the case, like I've got to suddenly throw on my cape of real estate and be a rock star for somebody. Right. So I'm just inviting you, don't get into that mindset of, I'm going to make some calls today, but I don't have any appointments. So I'm going to dress like Snuffleupagus. Like we just want to be game ready at all times, because you never know when the opportunity is going to present itself. And if you put yourself in that mindset that I'm dressing for success today, I'm going to be ready. We've got Justin Kelcourse. I'll pick on him. He's fun to pick on. He's got like from a pink tutu to a tuxedo. He's got all the uniforms because he's just that guy in our office, and he's just ready to go for anything. I'm not lying about the pink tutu. We'll find some marketing in the chat. Just be game ready at all times, from between your ears all the way down to the shoes on your feet. Knowing that you have the uniform to throw on for whatever conversation you're about to step into.
Yeah. And that might not be happening to you today, where you get a call in the morning to say, can you come take a peek at this property for me? But if think like a successful agent, it will happen to you. So why not be ready for it today? And it does happen. My husband John got a call this morning to say, can you come look at my condo? I just need to be done. And that's going to also bring up conversations of database and staying in touch with them. That's how those things happen. But you got to be ready every day to put your game face on and go sell and get something signed. And I'm gonna, a lot of the things that I'm gonna say, if they might sound a little bit direct, but I don't care. I want you to be successful, and if I have to be like pick up the phone and learn how to do it well, or script, and you don't like scripting, get over it. I want you to be successful, and sometimes we have to get out of that comfort zone and out of that box to do that, and putting that stuff on your calendar to make sure it happens is a way to help to force you to do that. So start your day by getting motivated. Practice scripts, because we don't want to be practicing on our customers and clients, people. We don't want to do that. Practice. Scripting isn't about a way to trick. It's not trickery. It's becoming professional. It's learning. It's when you can script and you script well, when you're on the phone with someone and they toss an objection at you, it's teaching you and giving you the ability to have time to listen to them. If you don't know otherwise what you're doing when you get on the phone and they throw an objection on you, you're only thinking about, what am I going to say next? And now you're missing the listening part of communication. So scripting is very important.
Guys, can I ask a quick question?
Oh, please do. Hi, Trevor.
So I'm always working on someone's car or fixing something for them, or going to my church and working on stuff. So the last thing I want to do is ruin any clothes that I have that are nice. So if let's say I go to the church and I got to work on something and I'm like, oh, I need this. So I run to Lowe's or wherever. I'm all dirty. Do you suggest that I keep something to change into in between when I'm running back and forth? Just don't go out looking like a bum.
Totally. Have a go bag in your car.
Okay.
I mean, we ladies carry our makeup and our lipstick in our car so that we're ready all the time. And you guys have to do the same thing. And that happens. I mean, and there might be some appointments where it's appropriate to go. If you're going to go meet somebody else that works on cars, they're not going to really mind so much that you show up looking like that. But be ready. Be ready to take an appointment. Have your forms that you might need, your brokerage relationships or whatever. I don't want to get into forms because of different states, but be ready to succeed and take business at any given point would be my suggestion.
I threw some pictures of Justin Kelcourse, our bearded friend, in the chat. He's got one with ornaments in his beard. He's got one where he's in a vest and a shirt and tie, and I can't seem to track down the tutu. He sends a birthday card out with him in a pink tutu, which is amazing. But
That's awesome.
He's ready to go. You could some days you'll see him. He's got a friend who makes shirts for him, and he's got a bacon and egg shirt. It's his breakfast shirt with like bacon. It's not real bacon and eggs, but yes, knit into the pockets. So.
Yep.
Just an idea of understanding, like, and he is who he is. The beard is always there. Sometimes it's 7 feet long. Sometimes it's shorter, but he knows how to dress for the occasion. Just a thought.
Truth. And so then after you're motivated, you're pumped up, you've scripted, you are ready to go. Now we're going to be on purpose about daily success habits, lead generation, and lead follow up. Um, it's just got to happen, and there's a reason that we put that first, because if you don't put lead generation first, it gets bumped down to the bottom, and then your day goes to hell, and you don't do it. Um, and what do we know? We know that successful agents make time every day for the activities that will get you success, that will get you leads, that will get you business. Successful agents never stop lead generating and follow up through phone calls, social media messages, writing notes. The follow up is equally as important as the lead gen. So if you're doing lead generating and you're having great calls, but you never follow up with them, then you're being dumb. You got to follow up with them, so that people have short memories. You have to be top. It's our job to be on the top of their mind all the time when they think about real estate.
Do you mind if I ask a question regarding this?
Yeah, please do.
When it comes to lead generation, I found that it's the early morning calls are not as effective as the 3:30, 4 o'clock calls. So should I be switching my day around if I'm gonna run business activities in the morning and then come home and lead generation, or how do I work around that?
That happens. I mean, sometimes depending on maybe you have to do two. Maybe you split up your lead generating. Maybe you need a different lead generation activity. Like pick something different to do in the morning, and then a different form of lead generation in the afternoon. The
Mm.
most important piece here is not that it's 8:30 to 11:30. The most important piece is that this is daily, and that you're committing to doing lead generation on purpose every single day. So it might require a little bit more discipline in the afternoon, so that you're actually, we're going to talk about time blocking today, so that you're putting that time in your calendar and you're not letting somebody else take that time from you.
Right. Because what I notice is that in the morning, people want to get ready for work, they're running out their doors, or they're actually at work at that time. They don't want to talk. They don't want to take a moment of their time. But usually after 3:34, that's when people are getting out of work. They're less stressed out. They're starting to like unwind from their day. So they're more receptive to have a conversation, especially for a first time.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. If you're reaching people in the afternoon, just be on purpose about having that time in your calendar, and being selfish. Be selfish with your lead generating time, and don't let something else, don't let your friend call you up and say, "Hey, they're having a sale at Kohl's today. Let's go over, and let's go at 3:30." Because if 3:30 is your lead generation time, it's taken.
What I'm worried about is more of, let's say if I have a listing or if I have a buyer and they're saying, oh, I can only go out at 4 or 5 or 6, which is going to take from my lead generation time. How do I work around that?
Yeah, you're going to have to get creative. So your lead generation for that day might, if you're doing social media for lead generating, during the day is a great time to do that. And a lot of people have great success with lead generation through social media. The thing about, when we talk about lead generating, it can look like a lot of different things, right? It can be calling expireds, it can be calling for sale by owners, it can be social media, it can be open houses, it can be door knocking, it can be networking. I mean, you can go on and on with what it could be. Pick something,
Right.
just don't let it not happen that day, or do
Okay.
your best to not let it happen that day. Um, if you are, and I love conversations around the social media piece, because to start with, if you're not on social media and you don't like it, get over it and get on it, and be on purpose about it. And remember that we, as real estate agents, lose the right to use social media the way everybody else does.
Could you repeat that, please?
We
This
do.
this is an interesting
Folks,
conversation we're having on a regular basis, and I want you to say it again, and I want people to write it down 22 times.
it's important. We lose the right to use social media the way everybody else does. church and state people, keep religion and politics out of social media. Um, you know, if you're going out to parties and drinking, and I'm just going to be direct, don't be a booze bag on social media. You can't do that, people.
But Susan,
Um,
that's my personal page. They'll never find it. They already found it.
They already found
They
it.
already found it.
So the thing with social media is you can't give your future customers and clients a reason to disagree with you. They might still want to be social with you, but you're giving them reasons to disagree with you or think of you in a non-professional way, and they're going to go to another person because guess what? They're friends with a lot of real estate agents on social media, not just you. So when we talk about lead generation, regardless of the format, we talk about adding value. Social media is the same thing. So if you're going to, flip your, do some social media lead generating and you're being on purpose about it, then you're adding value and you're mixing it up. You're not putting real estate on your social media every time you post. You're mixing real estate in with the other things that you're offering. You're being a positive and contributing member to your communities on social media. You're offering encouragement and hope and help and care to people on social media. And you're letting them know that you're in real estate. You're being a source for the source for maybe some real estate needs that don't have anything to do with the transaction. Um, and there's a ton of content out there. And you're being authentic with social media. So when you're lead generating, it could look like all of those different formats. The important piece here is that successful agents lead generate every day. So figure it out and where it's going to happen in your calendar. Our suggestion is 8:30 to 11:30 because we know that random things get thrown at you during the day. And you have to have time in your calendar to think about those random things that are going to happen. And we don't want you to be stressed out. And if you're not on purpose about your lead generating and you're filling a whole bunch of other stuff in there and you're going from like one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, I'm stressed out just thinking about that. Um, the timing for these activities depend on your needs and schedule. So if you do have to bump it to the afternoon, it's important that you include both the run the business and the grow the business parts of your activities during your day. And then, we put lunch in there for a reason, because if you don't, you're going to be at 3 o'clock and you're going to be out of fuel. The tank is going to be empty. We start our day with motivation to energize ourselves, and we need to have time in the middle of our day to do that as well. So lunch is not just because you need to eat a sandwich, it's because you might need to get up and take a walk. You might need to step outside. You might need to do something that refocuses you, that re-energizes you, because you're only halfway through your day and look at all the stuff we have to do. So put a break in there. You might need time just to think, and that might be your time. And then we're gonna run the business. We're gonna do marketing list. That's where we're gonna market our listings. We're going to negotiate contracts. We're going to set up showings. We're going to attend trainings. When I'm talking to anybody that works in my team, you know, if I hear them setting up showings in the morning, I'm going to get a little snarky with them. I'm not going to lie. That piece is coming out. We set up showings in the afternoon, people. Why? Because we're lead generating in the morning. If your lead generation time is in your calendar, you should not be marketing your listings during that time. You should not be setting up showings or appointments or inspections or appraisals or, networking time. It's time. You put other time in your calendar for that.
Okay,
Do you
so
mind if I ask a quick question on that?
Yeah. Hi. Sure.
So due to my client's availability and schedule, for the last week, I've been going out of my way to, show them houses at 8:15 at night. That's obviously due to their availability. I have to, do that. Is that correct?
if that's when you can show it, that's when you can show it. I mean, we're in a crazy market. I know I'm in New Hampshire and Maine, but I'm sure it's wherever you guys are too. We have to really bend to the seller and the seller's needs right now. And if they're willing to show you that house at 8:15 at night, all the power to them, and go show it. Show the house. Um,
Yeah, Nicholas too. I think Susan's point, and you'll hear Gary talk about defending this, is just put a moat around your, the old adage from our friends down in Quincy, Massachusetts, that started Dunkin' Donuts. It's time to make the donuts, right? Like before 12, it has to be time to make the donuts. If we start to put the fence down around that space and we start showing stuff, well, I have to go on this appointment. We're going to teach people how to treat us, and we're going to teach people our schedule, and nobody's looking at your calendar. You tell them your availability for appointments. And I understand that the 8:15 appointment, and to Susan's point, I want everyone, I don't care if you're a 7-foot man, everybody just be safe when you're going out at night. And I know sunset's going to be 8:45 soon. So be aware of safety issues with going way outside the scope of your normal time. The big point we want you guys to drive home today is that we're defending our fort and our bunker in the morning, that we are going to be in lead generation. And think about this too. If they were going to if they were picking up their Ferrari or going to get root canal, they would be on the dealer's schedule or the doctor's schedule. So we need to put them on our schedule, right? So we want to be setting all of our appointments for after lunch, just so we always have that time in the morning that's protected to create more appointments.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, if you're going to be out at 8 o'clock at night, that's another reason that you have that lunchtime in your calendar. And if it's not, if you need to bump that down to a little bit later, you just put that time in there so that you are taking time for yourself to be healthy and energized. And then, go put someone under contract. That's always fun. So we're putting the running the business part into our day, and then we're also putting the growing your business activities into our day. Um, we're previewing real estate, we're making seller appointments, we're meeting with clients. Activity is an instant thing, and but skills develop over time. And the growing your business, that's where that happens. We need to be increasing our skills so that we can grow our business. Um, and then, we're going to review our calendar for tomorrow when we're done doing all of those things, because our calendars are important. Um, we want to review our calendar for tomorrow, and we want to make a success list. Successful agents, they are looking at what their next day is going to be looking like. If there's something that didn't happen today that spills over to tomorrow, that's important to know. And then after that, we're going to have family time. And that's important to put that in there, and be mentally on purpose about your family time. Um, our, Keller Williams is God, family, business, in that order for a reason. It's because it's important. It's not business, God, family, or business, family, God. Our families are important. And you know what we don't want to happen? We don't want our families to hate real estate. We need them to be supporting us, right? So put your family time in there. And so running the business activities include, marketing, seller listings, showing buyers houses, negotiating contracts, all the things that we saw on that slide at the very beginning: transaction management, vendor management, setting goals, compliance and risk management, attending training and coaching, and managing money. And because, that's a very long list. If we're not being on purpose about our schedule, how are we going to make all of those things happen? How are you guys feeling now? Overwhelmed about all the stuff that you have to do every day? It can be overwhelming.
Everyone told me the hard part was getting your license, so I'm like, it's all downhill now. Now I'm like, when am I going to be able to get out there and do anything?
Yep, tricked you. And why are we starting the day with lead generation? I'm going to move on from this in a second, but it's because that's what successful agents have been doing. And we're going to do what they do, right? If they've been successful at doing it, then you can be successful at doing that too. Okay. So we are now going to move on to setting weekly and daily objectives. Daily success habits are the foundation for growing your business. We're going to look at how successful agents incorporate the daily success habits and more into each day to achieve their goals. And one way to do this is by doing your 411. And you guys have already talked about the 411. Is that correct? Didn't you do that last time? To turn 411 every week to turn your goals into daily and weekly objectives? Do you guys have them? Do you have your 411s with you? If you do, take them out. Let's take a peek at them. You don't need to show them to me. This is for you, not for me. But you know, the 411 is a living document, and there's going to be adjustments to it, right? It's fluid. It's not static. So you know, it's okay that we should be looking at them and we should be touching them, and get some ink all over that thing and use it as a tool. Let me see. So there is a 411 up here on the screen. And as you continue learning, like you're doing today and like you've been doing through all of the Spark sessions of Ignite, that learning might prompt you to want to make a change to your 411. Every time you gain new knowledge, it might make you want to put a change to your goals or a change to your objectives. Figure out what works well for you. And especially like the lead generation piece can be challenging for sure. I get it. Figure out what lead generation works for you. And that might make you want to do a shift in your 411 for what your goals are. Are you going to want to maybe spend more time on expireds or on FISBOs or on door knocking or on cold calling? Hey, people, you have a sphere. We should be using it. How am I getting in touch with my sphere? Let's be on purpose about that. So some of those changes might take place as you're looking at your 411s every week. And you have awesome coaches that can help you with this. Oh, this is such a great slide. We're gonna look at this 80-20 principle, and I'm sure you guys have all heard of the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle. It can help prioritize and focus what's important. And it's the Pareto principle because of the gentleman that came up with it, Vilfredo Pareto, which just makes me laugh because it just makes me think of Alfredo and kind of makes me hungry. I'm not going to lie. But he discovered that the 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results. So 20% of our effort contributes to 80% of our results. That, like, wow. So, man, are we focusing on the 20? We should be. When our actions are not focused on the 20%, we don't get the results we want. This is so simple, isn't it? But sometimes if we don't talk about it and we don't think about it, we just get busy with all the stuff that we have to do. The 80-20 principle may be counterintuitive, but it works. And there's also some power behind the converse of the 80-20 principle. It is also true. 80% of our effort yields 20% of our results. So we're going to talk about what does that 20% look like? They're called big rocks. They're the things that, have you guys seen that example of you have a big jar and you have sand and pebbles and big rocks that you have to put into the jar? We put the big rocks in first. And we do that for a reason. So in real estate, and when we're talking about our daily success habits, what are your big rocks?
Lead gen.
Absolutely. Absolutely lead gen. Because we just know how important it is. And that's the whole conversation is of if we're not on purpose about it, it doesn't happen. Because all the other stuff that we do, the showing houses, the training, the coaching, that's the pebbles in the sand. We fit that in after. And it might seem simple to say to do that, and it is. But when you look at all of the components of the growing your business and running your business, like, wow, that was a ton of stuff that we have to do. So it's simple to say we just do the the 20%, the big rocks first. But with all the growing the business and running your business, things can easily get complicated and busy. Stephen Covey analyzes our time to a bucket. We can only fit so much in our bucket, but how we fill our bucket matters. If we start by filling the bucket with sand, we won't have room for the big rocks, but gravel. But if we start with the big rocks first, then we can add the gravel and the sand will fit into the spaces left over. And that's really important to identify your big rocks. So identifying your big rocks might make you go back to your 411, right? And say, what do I need to adjust here? Because how I know so many people, and I fall into this trap. I just spend so much time getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. But if I'm spending all my time getting ready, I'm not going to make any money. And my family's going to get upset with me because we can't go out to eat, we can't go on vacation, and I can't buy them things. I have adults and teenagers, and really it's about my wallet that they care about that. And I need to be on purpose about not spending my time getting ready for the next thing that I want to do, but actually what's the 20% effort piece that we have to focus on.
Susan, for clarity, just to drill down on like you and John, I'll say you're his better half, your lesser half, John. He's successful because you exist. Let's be honest. Anyway, I love making fun of him while he's not here. And if he were here, you know that I'd be still making fun of him.
He's good for it.
The way you guys are wired, if you're talking about your disc assessment, and if you guys haven't done your disc yet, we've talked about it quite a bit. The high D would be John in this conversation. John's
All
giving me
day
the
long.
phone. He enjoys the human batting cage of being on the phone. He's probably on the phone right now. I trust he's at the office because you're teaching
Yep.
from home today.
Yep.
And then where you're more operational, you are more of the manager of the team, right?
Yep.
You're more SC, and what we find is more DI is done, right?
Yeah.
And more SC is perfect is done. So
Yeah.
you can fall into analysis paralysis. So the balance of the two of you is he's pulling up in the van saying get in, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab
Pump
the
the
map.
brakes.
We need to know where we're going. Yeah. So it's that. So depending on who you are and making sure you understand how you're wired, we're not telling you to behave differently. We're making you aware of the fact that, Nathan said this to me, our OP up here and our regional director, Nathan Dickey, said when I first got started, we're making omelets, you're going to break some eggs, right? And I'm IS, so I want to talk and then hug and then get it done, and then I don't care about the paperwork. So I need those people on either side of me. But just understanding that, we are never going to have all the answers, and we just have to start to get our hands dirty in this industry legally. Of course, we want to make sure we're following the rules, but we want to just get our hands dirty and start to get into the business, and don't overanalyze it too much. Don't overthink it, overdo it.
Don't absolutely. Great point, Tim. And if you guys haven't done a disc, I think that they're super powerful.
I'll
Just
drop the link for Tony Robbins
Perfect.
in the chat. And if you guys ever want to have a conversation about it, feel free to reach out to Erin or myself, and we can go over it with you. But I'll drop the link. Tony Robbins will have you take it for about 10-ish minutes. They're going to have you register with an email. They'll send the results back to you. And if you ever want to go over it with Erin or myself, or leadership in your office, just make sure they have the results. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And you know what? And there's no cost to it, which is really great too. A fun thing to do is have your significant other do the disc as well, because it not only does it teach you about how I'm wired, it's going to teach me how to identify how other people are wired. And that is really important. I need to know that if I'm talking to a customer or a client and they are a high D, that means that they really don't want me to be chatty, which is hard for me. They want me to be very direct, and they don't want a lot of details. So, for me, when John and I are talking to people, we're using a database and we put notes in it so that we remember what we say to people. We're going to talk about that too. We're documenting what our customers and clients are, so that the next time I get on the phone with them or I meet them in person, I know how to behave, so I can communicate the way they want me to communicate with them. And it's challenging for John, who is a very direct high D, very little details, just get to the point and let's talk about the next thing, to talk to a high S or a high I, because he's got to slow down and he's got to be a little schmoopy. And
I do
you
agree
got to
with
do
you
it.
on that point. Yesterday I was doing a cultivating phone call for a prospective client, and I noticed that I started going into the numbers, the market, you know, what he can sell the house for and all that stuff. And then I noticed that he was basically taken back a little bit by I think I haven't watched the this, so I don't know if I was a high D, but I was like, I need to bring it down a little bit. So I sat down and I let him talk. And then I think I need to watch this video to understand how to interact with my clients moving forward.
Yep, absolutely, Emma. Great, good for you for recognizing that. We actually, like, when we're going on a listing presentation, we do a lot electronically, but I still take out papers and sticky notes. Part of our intake sheet actually has DISC on it, so that as we're talking to them, we can be identifying what they are. And the reason that we have it written down is so that we're on purpose about it. So when we're lead generating, one of the reasons that we're scripting is so that we don't have to think about what we're saying. It's in here already. It's a tool in my toolbox that they say this, I know to go here. That gives me time to listen so that I can learn about how they like to be communicated to. And it's really important. It's going to make that 20%, right? I mean, 20%, if lead generation is not one of your big rocks, then you just get off the call. No, no, just kidding. Don't get off the call. But it needs to be, and we need to learn about people and how they want to be communicated to. Does anybody want to share any other big rocks that you might have? Think about them and jot them down, and then talk to your productivity coaches about it. A big rock could be your sphere. If you have a if you know, I get sometimes people move to a new city and they might not have a big sphere. But some people have a huge sphere, and I'll share a quick story. My husband was a builder before. He's always been self-employed. He has contacts galore. Um, but he never wanted to reach out to his sphere, people that already know, like, and trust him, because he didn't want to be perceived as like the Avon lady, right? The Avon lady comes walk. Sorry, Tim. Wasn't your mother an Avon lady? Um, you didn't want to be that person, like they see you coming down the street or they see your number pop up on their phone and they're like, oh, decline, decline, or walk the other way, because he didn't want to be perceived as someone that would only talk about real estate. Um, so it really wasn't until I joined him that we changed our thought process. He can rock the expireds and FISBO calls all day long. He really built his business on doing that. But then you get to a level where you have to keep introducing new lead generation sources, and we had to introduce your sphere. Your sphere wants to help you. So working with your sphere might be a big rock for you. Think about what your big rocks are. Write them down. You might even be writing them down today, and it might be an aha at the end of the class. But be on purpose about finding out what your big rocks are. And your big rocks are the 20%. So a big rock isn't just something that I like to do for fun. It's something that will focusing on that activity will grow my business. Yeah, so that's great. The Pareto 80-20 rule, it's part of real estate, and it really is kind of part of most aspects of our life. Our next part here is set your objectives. And this is a great slide, because, we want to be on purpose about what we're doing. When developing your daily objectives, we want to focus on how to measure progress towards the goal that you've identified. So you've identified your goal. Now we need to set some objectives and put some clarity behind what those objectives are. And let's what does that look like? So we're going to translate your weekly goals into daily objectives, and we start with being identifiable. What is your goal? Name it, call it something, write it down, be specific. It should be clearly defined. And you may have more than one, but you do want to be specific about them. We want to be metric driven. You know, how are we going to measure this? It has to be, your goals need to be, or your objectives need to be measurable. That could look quantitative, put a number on it. This might seem simple, but it really is, and it really is. How are we going to measure this? How are you going to measure your goal? Um, one thing that we know is what we measure, we can grow. And that's the whole purpose of why we're here, right? We want to grow that 20%. And your goal should be attainable. You should be able to achieve it. Do you have the correct systems and tools in place to set you up for success? Um, Goals should be challenging, and they should match to the allotted time to complete them. So we'll use like this for an example. Maybe you want to have 100 listings. Is it attainable? Is it measurable? Do my skill sets match my goals? Um, is it specific enough? Maybe I need to make an adjustment and say my daily goal is going to be contacting 10 people, having 10 actual communications and conversations. I'm going to set 2 appointments. I'm going to add 10 people to my database. So your goals, we want them to be based on your current skills, but stretch them. We do want them to be a challenge. And we want them to be purposeful. Is this goal aligned with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals? What do I do each week, each month, each year professionally, such that I can fund my personal goals, that I can have my life by design? Um, so let's be on purpose about that. If we're not on purpose about it, we're just having a great conversation, which this is fun. I am having a great conversation, but we do want to be on purpose. And we want them to be timely. When will this goal need to be accomplished? Commit to a deadline. It will help you focus your efforts on urgent tasks when you're committing to that deadline. Because I hope we're all putting a vacation in our calendar. We should be doing that. But what happens when you put a vacation in your calendar and you've booked the flights and you've paid for it? You have a deadline. And the other thing that's going to happen is now you have all of these other things that you have to do before you leave. So now we have to focus our efforts on those urgent tasks that have to happen so I can meet my vacation deadline. Because once you can't go until you get them done, and you have that specific timestamp on there. This doesn't have to be complicated. If we have this map in front of us of how to do it, we just have to, put it in writing, talk to your coaches, find someone that will help you do this if this is a struggle for you. Awesome. Let's move on to something that's going to help you do that. And that's going to be being on purpose about your time blocking. This is probably one of my biggest challenges. John is a fantastic time blocker. I am a crappy time blocker. He's constantly, part of what we have to do is I have to be reminded of my time blocks all the time. My ops manager, part of his job is to keep me on my time blocks because I've identified how bad I am at it. So I give him permission to say, Susan, you're supposed to be doing QuickBooks right now. Susan, you're supposed to be working on this right now. Susan, you're supposed to be at this appointment in 5 minutes. I give people permission in my life to help me with my time blocking. Time blocking is simply dedicating a specific period of time to a specific purpose. It's putting the big rocks in our calendar and making a commitment to preserving that time. Some key tips to remember when you're time blocking: block the most important tasks first, your big rocks, put them in there first. Don't try to time block every minute of your day. And I love this because if you try to time block every single thing in your day, I love this reminder of not to do this because you'll be so stressed out, you'll have too much in there. And random things come up during the day. So we need to have time to deal with them. We can't always predict, that an inspection response comes in and I now have to, go into, um, you know, EMT mode and put a pulse back into this deal or something like that. Things will come up, things that we will have to deal with. If we don't have um, empty times in our spot, if we have time blocked our entire day, these random things pop in, your stress levels are going to go through the roof. And I don't want to see that for you, because part of a day in the life of an agent is that this is an awesome business. It's fun. Helping people is fun. And I wouldn't want you to set yourself up to have such a busy schedule that you're overwhelmed and you're not having fun. If you're not having fun, if you're stressed out, that's going to come across in your communication. It's going to hinder your ability to solve problems and make deals a win-win for everybody. So be careful not to time block every minute of your day, and be careful not to confuse time blocking with indiscriminately filling your calendar. What does that even mean? It means we don't want to indiscriminately be putting something in our calendar because someone asks us to do it. We get to choose if it goes in our calendar. You get to choose what goes in your calendar. There's a little 2-letter word out there that some agents don't use because they want to please everybody. It's called no. And you have to learn how to use it, because some things can't go in your calendar. If it's not aligning with your goals, it shouldn't go in there. And we can train. I could do training from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. But if that much training doesn't align with me actually doing income producing activities, then I have to say no to some of them. So pick and choose what you're doing. It's important.
Yeah, what
Um,
did Gary say during family reunion, Susan? I think Gary said education without implementation is just entertainment.
Yep.
Right. And we do
Yeah.
hope you're having a good time today. At the same time, we want you to take these actions and, take the strategy, marry it to execution, and print money. That's the point, right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
Is it possible that we can connect the command tasks notification to the Google Calendar, so this way it helps us time block better?
I'm not your girl there. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know.
if you have your Google Calendar connected to command, which you can do when you first set up your command, there is a way to make sure all of those are speaking to each other. Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, and knowing what your resources are important. So, pull out your calendar. What does it look like? Is it paper? Is it digital? Is it a phone? It doesn't matter which one of those it is, but it has to be something. One thing that is a great, if you are a digital person, I love Google Calendars. We actually put, we want to be going on appointments in the afternoon. So we time block appointments that we don't even have yet. We put those in there. We have placeholders for those because we need appointments. So if I'm indiscriminately putting all this stuff in there and somebody calls me and I need to go look at a house, how am I going to do that? I haven't saved any room to actually run my business. I haven't set any time in there to take that appointment. So we time block that. We put that in green, and when that gets flipped to an appointment, we change the color to red. If something is in our calendar and it's red, we don't move it. It's a commitment that has been made. We don't change red. That's how we do it, because we're kind of visual. If you have something important in your calendar, don't erase it unless you're replacing it. If it's important, you put it in there for a reason. And if you have to adjust it, then you don't just erase it, you replace it. So figure out what works for you. Use your calendar. Write it down. Save some time. Don't overbook yourself, and don't let people take your time from you that you have dedicated for something else that makes you money, that helps you improve your skills so that you can make more money. Figure out what those things look like. Okay, we are going to keep moving. And how are we doing here on time? It's 10:13. When do we normally take a break? 10:30, 11? Are we good right now to keep going?
We've been closer to the 10:30 spot. Just makes sense for people to break out and do a bio
Okay.
break and get snacks and drinks and then come back to, head towards 12 and wrap things up.
Awesome. So we're gonna keep moving forward then with creating accountability. The one thing Gary cites Dr. Gail Matthews, who found that individuals who wrote down their goals are 39.5% more likely to succeed. Individuals who wrote down their goals and then shared progress reports with a friend, aka an accountability partner, were 76.7% more likely to succeed. Wow. Individuals that wrote down their goals and had someone holding them accountable to it were 76.7% more likely to succeed. That's powerful. It's hard. It's hard to be accountable for our goals, especially when you don't do what you said that you were going to do to achieve them. Part of the setting the goals is that I'm agreeing I'm going to do these activities that will yield me this result. I'm going to incorporate these daily success habits. I'm committing to that so that I have the results and I build the life of that I'm designing for myself. The written goals part, the writing them down part, that's your 411. Pull it out, look at it, get it dirty, write on it, crinkle it. It should have evidence that it's been used and changed and altered and modified and looked at. Print it and post it up if that helps you. Have it be something that you look at. Maybe that's part of your motivation in the morning. If that's who you are, if that's what motivates you, that could be your 8:30, your 8 to 8:30 piece. If we say, if we're telling you that you have a 76.7% chance of achieving a goal, would you do it? If you would, then that looks like finding someone that will hold you accountable because that's what they're telling us. Let me bump over here to the next slide.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good.
When we're doing our lead generation, if we're calling people and they're not picking up, is it appropriate to leave a voicemail? And like, if so, what would that look like? Or is it better to just keep calling until you get people in an actual conversation?
Well, if your voicemail, it depends. I hate that answer, but I give it all the time. A lot of people are not listening to their voicemail. So is it appropriate to leave a voicemail? Yes. But don't rely on the fact that they actually listened to it. Personally, I would follow up again with a second call where I can touch base with them and actually get them, maybe figuring out another mode. If you are also documenting that I'm leaving message, and it's Crickettville out there, then maybe that's not their love language. You might want to go to a Facebook message. You might want to go to a text. You might want to go to an email. Ugh, I hate that too because I hate a full email. Emails are tough. People get a ton of them. But if that's someone's love language, figure it out. Ask them, what's the best way for me to get in touch with you? And then you do more of that. A handwritten note. Consistently reminding them that you're there. So this is something that I think is that does happen with lead generation all the time. We want to mix up the way that we're communicating with them to be constantly adding value, reminding them that we're here when they have a real estate related question. So we're going to do that with different methods. We're going to write to them. People love handwritten notes. I send out cards galore. I spend a fortune on postage. I'm not going to lie. A video, we call it a textio. You can do a video text. That might be a love language for someone. If you're trying to get in touch with them and you're not able to land that connection, Hey, Tim, it's Susan. I'm having a hard time reaching you. You're probably super busy. I just want to remind you that I'm always here when you have a need in real estate. Is there anything I can help you out with? Send.
Perfect.
That, try, mix it up. Try something different.
Super simple, personal, and doesn't take and it sets you apart. Back to leaving the voicemails. I think it was Amy that was asking. If they're a Met, I wouldn't necessarily. Susan and John Kenyon are in my life, so I wouldn't say on a voicemail if I were to leave a voicemail. And this is personal preference, right? I think if they're a Met, I'm not going to say, "Hey, it's Tim with Keller Williams." Like they know that, right? With my unmets, I do need to make sure that they are aware that I'm calling for a business reason and I'm calling from Keller Williams. So we want to leave that as part of our voicemail if we are leaving voicemails with unmets. That being said, I think if I keep seeing this number that's unidentified that keeps hanging up on me, the probability of me taking that call ever is just gonna, and now this is personally for me, is gonna drop.
Good point.
If you
Good
are
point.
leaving the voicemail, if I know nothing else about you, you're consistent, right? And in this marketplace, in any marketplace, I would argue, I want an agent who's going to fight for me the same way they're fighting for their family by making all of these calls, making all of these touches. They still seem, after 6 months, this kid thinks I'm still important. You know what? So I think, and how do people want to be in business with people that they trust? So they may not know and love me yet. They trust me because they've heard my voice. There's a similarity and there's a consistency to my approach. If nothing else, you're approaching them as a professional. So I think a lot of people are like, I'm not going to leave a voicemail. I don't have time. You're taking the at bat. I would take the swing.
Yep.
And that's the only way I can think that if I'm gonna take the time to make the calls, I might as well leave my handwritten voice note in their mailbox that they may or may not read. And I can't pass judgment upon that if I'm really persistent about getting this house that I want, if they're an unmet. And to Susan's point, if they're a Met, hit them from a different angle, because right now I call my mom back. She's like, "Did you listen to my voicemail?" "No, Cheryl, I didn't listen to you. I'm calling you back. Like, I'm old, you're old. We don't have that kind of time. How can I help?" So that's a generational thing too. At the same time, a polite, quick voicemail with your identification for the unmets, I would say, is good practice moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And something to keep in mind too, not everyone is going to call you back or, text you back, but don't judge around that. If you're consistently reaching out to them in multiple ways and you're adding value and you're being professional, when they have a need, they'll call you. There's a strong chance that they'll call you. Don't give up on them. Just keep at it. It's, what was the quote from before? Small things consistently done will yield a big result. It does work.
I have to agree on the voice message thing, because when I get calls for voice message and nobody leaves a message, I block those callers. I'm like, those people can't leave me a message, and I don't know what the number is. It's probably, some recording. So I block them. So I think it's courtesy just to leave a message.
Yep. And figure out what works for, once you do, if it is a Met, then, figure out what they like, but be consistent. And definitely don't give up on people on those ones.
Susan.
Hi.
Hi, got a question for you.
Yeah.
So with adding value, I do like to do handwritten notes. I struggle though with adding value when I do send out a handwritten note. I mean, I pop my card in there, and typically when I do send out things, it's not always for lead gen, it's for follow-up after a closing or a meeting or something like that. What could I put in the handwritten note that would really add value, so it doesn't look like I'm just looking for me to get myself another deal from them?
Well, I think that the handwritten note, one of the biggest pieces of value there is that you're showing that you care.
Okay.
And don't discount the power behind caring about them. People want to be cared about. They want to be communicated with. If you're sending a handwritten note and there's something that that they need, or a coupon for something, or an article about something that might help them, or their kids are in baseball and you have this really great baseball card, I mean, those are great things to send. If it's information, you know, you're not sending, if it's a handwritten note, it's personal. If it's a business email or a business mailer, that's where your like value comes in. If it's about,
Sure.
you know, how septic systems work or something,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
something
typically
like
when
that.
it's like a follow-up, thank you for meeting with me kind of thing, or even after, you know, we closed a sale. I do put things in about, you know, the dog and the kids and
Yeah.
things like that. And okay, just
Yep.
trying to wrap my brain around, because that seems to be something I'm always so afraid when I write it to them. It's just going to be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. She just wants more business. That's it. But I
But
always
you know what?
make it
That's a
personal.
limiting belief, and I'm going to challenge you, Robin,
Okay. All right, good.
because just their face when they open up their mailbox and there's something handwritten in an envelope that isn't the same shape as a bill. That adds value to my life. I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie.
And my handwriting isn't great, honestly, but I got over that part.
It's,
You know, I do my best, but you know, I
yeah,
blew my hand out working in the office for 10 years. But
yeah,
anyway, it is
yeah,
what it is.
and you know, change the way that you look at things, and the way the things you look at will change. Did used to feel like that, Robin. I'm not going to lie, I did. But you know what? I am freaking great at what I do. And if they choose to use me, they're going to get the best service that they've ever gotten. What? I'm going to ask you if you want that all the time, because you'd be damn lucky to hire me as your real estate agent.
I like that.
And
That's great.
I tell myself that, and I believe it. So
Mhm.
The way that I look at it as well with handwritten note is it's the first step to create a personal relationship with that family, because that's not just going to be one transaction, it's going to be recurring transactions and referrals, and you have to bring them close to a personal level, and the best way to start that is with a handwritten note.
yep. Yep. So I totally squirreled on this slide here, but I'm going to try to bring it back to accountability. And if handwritten notes are part of what your goals are, then keep track of what you're sending out, and have your accountability partner hold you accountable. Did I actually send them out? Accountability is an attitude and an approach. Accountability is a tool for changing and achieving results. And what the next line I love, that this last line, accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept. It's dynamic because we offer feedback during accountability. We can change things during accountability. We can make adjustments. If it were static, we would not be able to make adjustments. We would not be able to provide feedback. Um, and the accountability part is really crucial in achieving your goals. When you have to report to someone else what you've done to make progress on your goals, you gain more focus, you gain more motivation. Um, think about accountability as a process. It's difficult to maintain drive over the long term. So the accountability piece helps keep you on track. But when you have to defend your activities an objective observer, on someone that really is truly holding you accountable, it becomes easier to stay focused. Um, and one thing Gary Keller has said: until you're willing to have someone else hold you accountable, you can't hold somebody else accountable. And it's hard to be held. Some people love to be held. John could be held accountable for stuff all day long. I hate it because I feel like I'm being picked on if I didn't do something. So that's a limiting belief for me, right? But what we want to do here is we want to set the goal, and then we want to do the key activities. We want to measure results. We want to evaluate the process. We want to make adjustments. And then there's arrows along those circles for a reason, because then we start again. We want to review our goals. We want to adjust them, and maybe set a new goal, maybe change it. And we want to keep doing the activities. Um, we want to do every one of these items in these circles continuously. It is a loop. And we have accountability in other areas of our life. Like if you go to the gym, you might have a trainer. If you, some people go to Weight Watchers. They have people there holding them accountable for their health. You have doctors that hold you accountable for your medications or your health or whatever. Uh, having someone hold you accountable for your business is a good thing. It will help you achieve more at a higher level. Okay. We have a little bit more to go on accountability, and it's creating a plan for accountability. So we want to add our accountability to our calendar for sure. Um, we want to, the first step is finding that accountability partner. Who is that in your life? Um, Pick someone that is going to actually hold you accountable. John and I are not good accountability partners because we are also married. It's kind of awkward to hold someone accountability and then have to go home and have dinner together, especially when I'm I'm not I'm hard a person to hold accountable.
Do you think this needs to be another realtor, or it could just be anybody?
Well, you might have more than one accountability partner. I think that when you're talking about your business, you have a coach, it could be another realtor. It should be somebody that understands your real estate life because, it's hard for a friend or a spouse to hold you accountable about lead generation and calling expireds when they have no idea what you're talking about.
I think that cuts both ways. I think Susan makes such a great point because I would argue as a coach that I invite our agents in our market center. We're 463 out of Portsmouth, and I think we have, and some of our market centers, obviously in New England, have enough of an agent count that you can choose somebody within your market center that you don't have an interpersonal relationship with. Susan's point about her and John is, they know the tough day that they just went through, and they're willing to let each other off the hook for that very reason, right? So if you can, I think the beauty of even with the regional and national conversations we're having with Bold and Family Reunion, if you can find somebody on the East Coast, anywhere on the East Coast in the same time zone that you can have a Keller Williams conversation with. And I'm not saying it can't be another realtor at another brokerage. It's a great way to build the relationship and invite them to come play with us at some point, right? I just think if you can talk to them about the systems and the models and the mindset that we're constantly talking about here and have them hold you accountable. And if they're, and I would find that person that maybe a little further down the path than you, that you can create that mentorship relationship, but they also are looking for that person to check in with in the morning and do scripts within the morning, the accountability buddy to do it scripts within the morning, and then that 5 at 5 conversation when you're wrapping up your business. And just like, hey, Trevor, how's it going? You said you were going to get the price reduction on 32 Main Street, which we're not doing those right now, but it's fun to say out loud, right? On 32 Main Street, and you were going to contact 20 humans today. How did it go? Didn't get the price reduction. That gets moved to tomorrow. So on our 411, to Susan's point, right? If it gets erased, must get replaced. I'm sliding that forward. And I only got 10 conversations in, so I need to make 30 tomorrow. How did your day go? Right. I think if it's a teammate of ours or it's somebody we work with closely at the market center, we're just going to, out of love, we're going to let each other off the hook. And I think that's the irony of that is if we truly cared for them, right? We can love people out of this business. If we truly cared for them, we'd hold them accountable. So the other side of that coin for Susan and John, if they said to the kids, hey, your father and I are going to crush this in this quarter, in this half year, what do you guys want to do to celebrate when we do? Then you've got the kids. If Susan and John are walking in, they'll be like, Mom, Dad, Did you sign 3 new contracts this week? No, go sit in the driveway and get it done. We want to go to Disney, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like the bikini photo on the freezer in front of the ice cream. It holds you accountable to a different level. So if you can involve your loved ones, I'm real big as a coach. I don't like coaching a consequence. I like coaching a celebration. I'd rather have you have your loved ones at home egging you on to get you to the celebration that they chose than everybody's got skin in the game.
Yeah.
But for an accountability buddy, I'd pick somebody on the East Coast, maybe not in your market center. So there's a little bit of a divorce between the two of you and you're not emotionally tethered to each other, but you're professionally tethered to each other.
Yep, absolutely. And you want to, obviously you're going to share your goals with your accountability partner, and they're going to look like what's your long-term goal? What's your medium and your short-term goals? And how did you set an appointment today is an okay one for your family to have for you? Because if we're not setting appointments, you're certainly not ever going to get to writing contracts. And then you're going to want to make sure you plan your check-ins. How often do we need to check in? And how are we going to do it? What's our method of communication? Is it going to be, there could be we might agree that I'm going to daily text you in the first thing in the morning. Did you script? Did you do your role playing today? Have you practiced your scripts today? It could be that you're doing a mixture of them. You could be doing a daily morning reminder. You could be meeting once a week in person or over the phone. And you might mix it up that way. but you want to give yourself enough time with your accountability partner that, remember, it's dynamic. So we want to also talk about if you're not meeting your goals, we want to have time in there to help. How can I help you come up with a plan that you agree to meet your goals? And the agreement part is really important. So if I'm going to, you might have a mentor or somebody that's holding you accountable that says you need to set 10 appointments this week or whatever your goal is. But if I don't agree to that, it ain't happening. So, that's part of the dynamic piece where you're going to talk about goals. You're going to talk about what are the activities and the daily habits that you're going to commit to achieving those goals, and you're going to agree to it. And then the next time you're talking to your accountability partner, they have the right to ask you about that because you agreed to it.
I'm going to jump in real quick. Say we probably want to head towards a bio break, and I want to make sure you guys understand the massive amount of talent you get today with Susan Kenyon. She's a
Thanks,
rock
Tim.
star in our market center, and I think for New England and for the entire company. So
Thank you.
I hope you're taking copious notes. There'll be a quiz at 12.
There'll be a test.
Yeah, there'll be a test.
There'll be a test. Yeah, cool. It is 7:30 for how long do you guys usually take, Tim?
I think if we're seven, why don't we plan to get back here for 10:45? Do we want to say
All right.
that?
Does that work for
Yeah.
everybody?
10:45. We're hanging out. If you guys have questions when you get back, we're hanging out to answer your questions as well.
Cool. All right. We'll see you at 10:45. How are we doing, folks? Are folks back here?
I'm back. I'm hearing something that sounds like somebody's coffee maker brewing.
I know, right? That's a good tool to have in your toolbox too, some caffeine.
Absolutely.
When did you leave Liberty?
I left Liberty in 2013. Yeah, I was up here, in Dover, New Hampshire. They have no one's there now. It's very sad because they have a really big campus with 2 huge buildings there, and no one's in them right now. They're all working from home.
Yeah, that's
but-
the campus I worked at.
Oh, really? Where'd you work there?
I worked in software development,
Nice.
managed a group of guys and
That's
gals
awesome.
for tools.
I loved working at Liberty. It was a hard decision to actually leave.
Yeah.
And because but John and I would come home at night, and I was a analyst, and I worked on the auto and home programs for salespeople to use. And, I worked on defects and stuff like that. So then we'd come home at night, and who wants to talk about auto and home policy programs? We always talked more about real estate. So we set a goal where we saved enough money to be a 100% commission household. So we had to save. And then we had to replace my salary the first year. So, it's important for us all to be building personal time in so that we don't, burn out in this business. But then there are times when you buckle down and you double down and you do what you have to do. And really, you guys are in that position right now when you're starting your career, and we're, talking about all these habits that you have to do. It's a lot. You're building your skills, you're training, you're trying to get appointments. It's a lot. But if you love it, it's worth it. It just, make that decision to do it and set those goals, and you'll achieve it.
I'm probably in the minority, but to me, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose right now.
I think you're in the majority.
There's so many directions and information coming from so many directions that you just say, stop for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And sometimes we have to, we're learning so much that, we have to repeat stuff, which is, and relearn it and hear the same things over and over again. Which is a great way for, we have to do that. And it's great to be really cognizant of that, because that's how our customers and clients feel. We know about real estate and real estate transactions, and they do not, and they get overwhelmed. And when a seller is going to list their house, they feel that way. They feel like they're drinking from a fire hose. So we're constantly telling them the same things over and over again. And when we're looking to add value, that's some of the value that we're adding, is to let them know what all the stuff that at the times that they're supposed to know it. But also remember that just because you tell them something at the beginning of a transaction, don't assume that they remember it halfway through. Yeah. So we're going to jump right back in here, and let me forward our slide. And we're on the recap and ahas. So, you guys are now well on your way to building habits, and getting those things written down that we know from we have resources for that, like the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Um, you know, I'd like to just take a minute to remind everybody that this stuff really, KW really did put a lot of effort into finding out what works for successful agents, and what were the common denominators amongst all of those successful agents. And that's what your content is here in this session of Spark, but in every session of Ignite, whether it's the Spark or the Elementals, which you'll be jumping into next. So, we don't need to be recreating the wheel. We always want to be authentic and put our own value propositions on stuff, and our own personalities and strengths in our business. But let's do what they do to help us succeed faster. Um, I think that it's just so great that you guys have the opportunity to take these kind of classes, because really we're trying to leapfrog you to, getting to conducting business and growing your business and running your business and having transactions and being rewarded with closings. And I'm still doing them. If when there's training that comes up and I know it's from a high producing agent, yeah, I hop on those all the time. But I also spend time every week honing my skills. If I don't know if all market centers have weekly contracts class, if they do, go to them. I still go to them every single week and I participate and I learn. I learn. We can learn from each other's successes and we can learn from their failures too. So it's okay in those settings to say, well, I had this experience and don't do that because it doesn't work. And yeah, thank you, Amber. So Amber, it sounds like you've done Ignite before and you're able to understand more this time. So good for you. Good for you. Okay. So we're going to spend some time here on ahas to achievement. So if you have any thoughts to share, like how has your thinking changed? And what ideas or mindsets were new to you, whether it's from today or from, your previous ignites this time around? Does anyone have anything? Has your thinking changed?
So I think it's a a culmination of hearing it. Sometimes you have to hear things a lot of times, but just the 80-20 and the big rocks and just having outreach be like the foundation, the thing that can't be compromised. If it needs to be moved, it's moved. It's not eliminated. And so I think as you go, that will continue to yield more and more results. So you just have to put in the time and the work. And just find a time, whether it's morning or night, but it can be moved, but it can't be eliminated.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one.
For me, it would be the time blocking right now, which is a struggle I have. I have 3 kids that I have about usually 5 or 6 days of the week. I feel like that's kind of stopping me from getting out there because, like right now with this class, I get done. I could be out in the morning, but I'm in the class, which I need. Then the kids have their stuff and this and that. But sticking to a regimented schedule instead of just trying every day to do it differently, doing it the same way every day is important. And I'm starting to realize that, or I'm never going to accomplish what I need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Those habits.
I'm 100% with Trevor on that. I do tend to let the winds make me move in different directions. I'm not good working at home. I finally figured that out. I need to get out and get to the office every day, get up, get dressed, just like I used to on my 9 to 5. I need to just dedicate myself back to that again and do way better than I've been doing, because I know I could have been doing way better than I have been.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
Time blocking. I've got 4 kids. 4 kids, lots of dogs, tiny house syndrome, and definitely time blocking. I jam pack. I totally jam pack my day, and I need to make sure, like you said, put that block in. Here's a block. This is dedicated towards this, and then put some empty blocks that are there just in case, so that I don't overdo it. I definitely jam pack my day, especially with 4 kids and dealing with making sure I get everybody's appointments, everybody's schooling, virtual schooling.
Yeah, that's a lot right now, isn't it?
Teenagers, school. Yeah. It's, I never thought I'd babysit my teenagers. My God. The 5-year-old I got, the teenagers, no.
Yeah, they're
You
harder.
can sell them on Etsy with free shipping. People are buying them now. So yeah, I'm going to put my
Really?
15-year-old up, I think, this week. Hey, don't forget too, guys. And I think Susan's hopefully done it to some extent. And Erin and I endeavor to do it on a regular basis, leaving some white space, right? Like and that comes down to, so if that client needs some help or an agent on your team, or, obviously Susan needs this because they've got agents on their team, And if nobody shows up, take a deep breath, read a book, go for a walk, like leave your tiny house, Jennifer, right? Like whatever the case may be that you just, because, I know I said this a couple of days ago, a million years ago in college, I had a dean that said, if you don't take off one day, you'll take off every day, right? If we don't give some minutes to ourselves every day, we will owe ourselves all the minutes. Oh, I deserve the whole day because I took no minutes this week. So take some minutes, get back to work, make it purposeful. And when we create the space for the things that need to get done, to Susan's point, the big rocks are going to create the revenue that lets you leverage other stuff out. You can afford
Yeah.
a dog walker. It might seem like a luxury now. It'll be a necessity soon because you'll be a powerful business person. So if you came here, most of us came to real estate because we wanted more time and more money. We wanted to control our checkbook and our life. And if that's what we're planning to do, we need to behave that way, behave appropriately in the moment. And we joke about all the time, the best part of real estate is you're in charge. It's also the worst part of real estate because we've just got to man up and be business people. This is not a hobby. This is not you can be a hobbyist. It's pretty cool. You won't get paid. You'll watch other people get paid. But if you want to be a business person, let's just behave that way and lean into these conversations here and the help around you and the leadership at your respective offices. Because no matter how you're feeling and what position you're in right now in your business, guess what? Gary was there at first. Yeah, the OP at your market center was there. Your team lead was there at one point. Everybody on this call is just in a growth conversation. I saw a really cool meme this morning. It was a year ago, I was dreaming about where I am now, and I should probably take some time to enjoy that, right? The plans you were making a year ago. I'm gonna be in real estate in a year from now. And now you're sitting in real estate, not even giving yourself the credit that you were bold enough to do this. So we've got to take some white time, some white minutes, some white space every day to just take a deep breath and enjoy the ride, because otherwise you're gonna be smoked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like people standing over your coffin at your wake saying, God, she looks great. She had 4 closings last week. Hasn't seen her family in 4 years. Like it's not going to matter how awesome you killed yourself if you don't give yourself time to enjoy. You can burn the candle at both ends, and nobody came here for that.
Nope.
So please use the leverage that we talk about on a regular basis. It's available to everyone. It's not above anybody's airspace to say that, oh, I can't afford to take that kind of time off. If we're super purposeful with our KW minutes, you'll have more time for yourself and your family. And that's why we're all here,
Yeah, that's the life by design part.
Mhm.
And you have to identify what that life by design looks like so that you can get there. Because you have to be on purpose about getting there. Nicole, you had your hand up. Can we help you? Would you have a thought?
Hi, yes, thank you. Erin is actually answering me in the chat right now, so thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
It's about forms and documents. Thank you, though.
Okay, cool. Well, the goal of our time together is to help you think, feel, act, and use what you've learned in Ignite, you know, to ignite your passion and help you achieve your big why. Um, i- if you're passionate about what you do, it will come across and it will make you better at what you do. I'm in this business, but this is a hard business, guys. You didn't pick an easy one. And that's a kind of a big myth out there, right? When you tell people that, "Oh yeah, I'm a real estate agent." Oh, that's awesome. You must make a boatload of money. You can take time off whenever you need it. You get to see houses all the time. And I'm like, "Yep, it's really great." And if you want to sit down and chat about that, if you have an interest in it, I'll tell you. And then when I get to the sitting down and chatting about it, I tell them the other half. And I'm super direct about that because that is the big myth when when you tell people that you're a real estate agent. Um, but if you love it, it's worth it, and it's worth doing it well. So our hope is and my hope is that this pumps you up and it makes you feel like I can do this, and that it gives you some clarity around how to do it, so that when you're sitting down, you're not looking at a blank screen and going, "What the F do I do next?" I don't know. So we want to build some clarity around that. Um, the other goal is, I fail forward all the time. My life has been built around failing forward. If you meet a successful person, they've had a lot of failures behind that success. So let yourself off the hook too. When you have those setbacks or those things that are not working well, that's okay. Now you've figured out what not to do. It helps put you in the direction of knowing what you should be doing. What we do want to make sure and what we want to help you with is to avoid the pitfall that I have found myself in, which is at the end of the day, I have been so busy. It's been a whirlwind of a day, but I can't tell you what I've actually accomplished. That stinks. We don't want that for you. So if we can help you avoid those pitfalls that I've experienced, that's why I'm here. I really want to pump you up and give you some clarity, so that you're not making the same mistakes that I have made. And I still have to be on purpose about that. I still have to be on purpose about my daily habits and my calendar. Yeah, Tim, time block your personal life first. Gary Keller will tell you when you're setting up your yearly plan, put in your vacations. They're important. Your family is important, guys. No matter, our families all look different. And maybe it's less on kids, but more on friends. That's included in there, and that stuff is really important. So build those things into your calendar, and it's the same thing as not letting other people take our time and saying yes to every meeting or yes to everything that someone asks of you. If you time block in your family, don't erase your family. They're important.
Well, and the irony is we all came here for control of our checkbook and our calendars. And the number one reason real estate agents don't take vacation time, I don't know if I'll be able to take the time or afford the vacation. So as Susan said earlier, put it in the calendar, hold yourself accountable. Right. And then because if you're going to push it out, if you're going to say, well, I'll do this now for next spring, and you put Disney in there, you can start to put a little note that pops up on your iPhone that says, is everyone in your family currently on the plane? Are you sleeping in the car outside of the park? Or are you staying in Frontierland inside of the park? Can everyone afford a pair of ears? Are you going to eat while you're at Disney? Right. And just set those, just to remind you, this is why I'm picking up the phone today. It's an 80,000 pound phone, and I want everyone to be on the teacups. Right. Can you imagine? Son, we're going to leave you at home. We don't really love you as much as the other kids. You're going to stay home. Not everybody's going to Disney because daddy decided to suck most of the year. I mean, that's the honest conversation, right? It doesn't have to be Disney. You can decide to celebrate however you want with your family. Just we always say that we're here. I'm going to take control of my life. Put those vacations in first. That your loved ones deserve your time, and you deserve the time that you're going to work so hard in between for.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why we have the daily success habits, and they're, building your daily habits. That includes building your database. And we haven't really talked a lot about database today, for a day in the life of an agent, but I think it's important to talk about it because you have to have one. If you think you're going to remember everything that you have to do and everyone you have to call and everyone you have to follow up with, you're not going to. So whether what your database looks like is really up to you, but you have command. If you're not using command, have something. You need a system for your database, and you need to use it. You should be adding 10 contacts into your database all of the time. Um, build that database, and it's crap in, crap out, or great stuff in, great stuff out. So if your goal is to build your database, back that up with I'm building a great database with people I'm going to transact business with. Um, because it's a it's a journey, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And your database will feed you when you least expect it. If you are on purpose about putting people in your database and you have a plan, so if you put them in there, you also have to have a plan and some type of system for how frequently you're going to be reaching out to them. What are the methods that you're going to be reaching them out to them in? And it should be a combination of things that we have talked about, like the handwritten notes, the phone calls, the texts, the social media. You need to be communicating with your database, and then it will, when you least expect it, somebody from your database is going to reach out to you because you've taken the time to stay in touch with them. The one thing that really, well, there's a lot of things that can really stink sometimes, but one thing that stinks the most for me is when I go on to social media and somebody from my database listed a house with somebody else. That's not their fault. That's my fault. It How about this one? A family member that buys a house with somebody else. Yep, that's happened to me too. Those things happen and we learn from them. So don't get upset when you see that, or give yourself a 60-second funeral. We allow a 60-second funeral in my office. And what that is I have 60 seconds to kind of complain about this and be upset about it. And then I'm going to move on. If I allow myself to have the whole day to complain about why my neighbor listed with somebody else, I'm not going to get to my big rocks, people. So don't spend your time complaining and harboring on something that you can't go back and change. Build into your plan how you're not going to let that happen again. How am I going to reduce the likelihood of that happening again? And managing your database will help you do that. It reminds you, you might get so busy, you might not go on to Facebook to, if you know that you have a past client that you're friends with on Facebook and you haven't actually been active on their posts, that piece of a reminder in your database could be just to do that. I'm going to spend this much of my time today making sure that I have my past clients on my social media. That might be one of them. Whatever that looks like, and mix it up so that they're being touched and you're being put in front of them in multiple ways, so that don't give them a chance to forget about what you do. And remind them that you're here for real estate and you're here to help them. You're here to help them whether they have a transaction right now or whether they just are curious, or whether they just have a question on home maintenance that you might be able to put them in the right direction. You're adding value. They're calling you because a real estate need popped into their head. And if they're doing that, then you're doing your job.
You make a great point too about the 60-second funeral. Erin and I as coaches have to respect that because we have a 30-minute meeting with most of our agents. And if we're going to give you a 60-second funeral, the other 29 minutes need to be solution-based, right? And the other analogy that I love to use, if you had $1,440 and somebody stole $10, would you give them the other $1,430? Or would you move on? Right? They stole $10, right? There's 1,440 minutes in a day. And if somebody takes 10 of your minutes, you've got all of that additional revenue left to move forward with. So why would you ruin the rest of the day? We've got to put it in perspective. You had somebody set you and made you rotten for 10 minutes, shake it off, move forward. There's still a lot of opportunity on the table and throughout the rest of the day for you to build that rather than sit and sulk. And Susan talking about family members, sometimes it'll be a blessing you don't work with your family, right? Sometimes they take artistic license with you. So let's make sure that we're not crying over spilt milk when it comes to not working with our family. I mean, ultimately, we would like it to be our choice, even your sister, because a lot of our loved ones don't want us in their sock drawer, understanding their finances and stuff. And not that we're going through their bank statements, but just sometimes emotionally, the detachment works. At the same time, if your parents list with somebody else and you had no idea, back to Susan's point, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. You can't get mad at Susan or your parents if they list with her, right? It's all our
Susan said
fault.
they have a 60-second funeral. I talked to Keller Williams, agent, who has just the opposite. She has a 60-second celebration when a relative of hers signs with somebody else.
Tim,
Valid. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
have you ever used the let's meet so I can figure out if I want to work with you with a family member?
Well, early on in my, the first person I sold the second home to was one of my good friends from radio. And it was a fascinating experience. Let me just say this concerning that. So moving forward, no, obviously the ease of use now for Erin and I, we're out of production, right? So here at our market center, we obviously have 699 friends that we can refer to. So we get the blessing of not being in production. So I'm not doing that. I want you guys to have that in your entirety of your business. Like when John Kenyon sits at a kitchen table, he's deciding two different categories. John and Susan Kenyon are sitting at a kitchen table thinking about 3 different price points: the price they would buy it for, the price one of their investors would buy it for, and what it would go for on the open market. The other side of that coin is, do we want to work with them? Do we have the leverage to push away from the kitchen table if these people are maniacs? I don't ever want you having to take a listing. And I know right now in the current environment, it feels as if, God, if I get a listing appointment, they could be holding a gun over a dead body. And I'd be like, well, sign here, just don't get any blood on the paperwork, right? So we're so desperate for listings. I want you guys to be in a position where you have the leverage to step away, right? Because you really can take control of your business if you put yourself at enough kitchen tables to have enough at bats to be discriminatory in who you're choosing to do business with, because that you're going to bring that home too, right?
Yep.
I got 7 listings. That would be awesome right now. If anybody, you have 7 active listings right now, that would be a blessing in the current environment. And if all 7 of them are maniacs, your loved ones are going to feel that when you get home, and that's doing the world no service, right? And it's not good for you either. So I want you guys to be able to pick and choose as you go through your whole career, not just with your family. But great question, Trevor.
Awesome. The other thing, like we have touched upon it, for your habits is the script practice, and we really just can't talk about that enough. It's a little uncomfortable when you first get started scripting, but be on purpose about it, because it just adds so much value to your skill set. It adds so much value to your customers and clients. It adds so much value to your time that you're going to put into lead generating and making the lead generation more effective. And I I would caution you, when you are doing your script practice, find a script partner. And you know, it can be 15 minutes, but it should be 15 minutes of just scripting. It shouldn't be 15 minutes of, "Hey Trevor, how was your day? What'd you have for supper last night? How are the kids?" You're not The script practice is really designed for you to just jump right into a call. So if it's not an in-person and it's a call, agree that whoever's making the call, they're jumping right in from word 1 to the script. "Hey Trevor, it's Susan from Keller Williams Coastal Realty. How are you doing today? Wanted to follow up and talk to you about, how is your sale going, because you're a for sale by owner," or whatever you're currently working on for your scripts. But jump right into it. Um, and it's not a time to just be chit chatting with the other agent. Let's be on purpose about it. We just don't want to be practicing that stuff on our customers and clients. And your script practice could be tag teamed with the time that you want to do your, learning your contract. So it could be a script on getting an agency relationship signed. It could be script practice on a purchase and sales agreement. It could be a script practice on negotiating an inspection or getting somebody through those types of things. You'll come up with, if you don't know a script, you should have a script book. There are script resources for you. Um, they might sound quirky, but the purpose of doing them the way they're written is then you can internalize it and make it your own. And you can make modifications to it that might suit your personal style better, but it gives you a place to start.
Sue or Susan,
Yeah,
hi.
hey.
Can I just jump in on that? Because this has
Yeah.
been coming up a lot. We have had quite a few new agents in our market center the last couple of months. And so this idea of being salesy, right? Not wanting to sound salesy. And one of the conversations that I guess the 2 things that I've sort of uncovered around this is that I either don't know the script well enough or I don't believe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you need to work on those 2 things when you're working in scripts and on script practice. Really, am I coming across authentic? It's hard to be authentic if you don't believe in what you're saying, right? I'm here to help you through this process. If you feel insecure that you don't have the skills to help someone through the home selling process, what can you do to feel that feeling? You can go to class. You can find another agent to shadow. You can help at an open house, right? There are things and actions that we can take that so that we are authentic and genuine when we're having these conversations with people. And the more that you're going out and doing the 10-4, the more experience as a realtor you're creating for yourself, the less you're going to feel like a fraud. So I think that I'm just calling that out because
Yeah.
I've heard it pretty much. I'm hearing it 3 or 4 times a day when in my one-on-ones with people, and you're not alone if you feel that way. But there are so many things that you can do to move beyond that. You just have to take the actions that a realtor takes, right? Be a realtor and you'll sound like a realtor when you have the conversations with people. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's a great point, and definitely very true. None of us like got our license, and instantly knew how to do this. We all had to do this. We all had to script. Successful agents have had to script. That's why it's in the course material.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. And read, if you need to learn more about it, you have contracts that you can read. Guess what? That's kind of some of the stuff that you're going to talk about when you're making your lead gen calls, when they ask you what the home buying process is. Part of that is a purchase and sale agreement. What is included in that? If you can't read your contracts upside down across a table with somebody else, then you're not learning enough. Please revisit that stuff over and over and over again. Um, when people have confidence in your ability, then that's who they want to do business with. And you have to practice that stuff. You have to contracts are part of scripting. You have to learn how to get people through those. And you can practice some of that stuff with with people that are not agents. You can do a listing presentation to your family and friends and let them know what you're doing. That, let them know, hey, I really want to get great at this presentation. Can I sit with you for an hour and give it to you? And then give them the presentation. Don't keep squirreling into, oh yeah, how was the kids' baseball game last night? Practice with them. Those people, your family and friends want to see you succeed. They want to see you do well. My mother would let me practice with her. She thinks it's great to be involved in stuff like that.
And they get the opportunity to find out where their house stands in the current market, right?
Yeah.
Just going to do a real estate checkup with you. We're going to go over where you guys stand in the current market. If it's something you want to, move forward with, great. Otherwise, I get an opportunity to sit with you guys and bring you up to speed on what's going on in real estate. Think about it this way. If you were standing next to your mechanic when they popped the hood and they sort of stood back and put their hands on their hips, they're like, let me go get the schematic. Like, if they
where's
can't
the owner's
pop,
manual?
Yeah. Is that the oil or the windshield fluid? Like, to some extent, we should have a pretty decent command of what's written on that piece of paper. So please take the time to understand those scripts. The benefit, I heard Susan say it, and it's true. If you only brought one copy, spoiler alert, don't do that to yourself. If you only brought one copy, you do need to read it upside down. It's going to look like Farsi from your side of the table if you're not well versed, right? The benefit of our Zoom generation is you can probably sit on your screen, their home on their screen, and you're looking at the shared document together and reading it at the same time. But please, if you are going to someone's physical kitchen table in the near future, bring 2 copies. So you can say, as you see, section 3, we're going to go over this now, right? You're not trying to read it across the table or, and spend some time with the document before you get there too.
Yeah,
But
and
don't
it
pop
shouldn't
the hood
sound to
and
them
not know
like
where
it's the
windshield
first time
fluid
you've read
goes.
it.
Yes.
Oh,
The legal document of our business, we should understand this paperwork to some extent, and you're going to grow in that conversation, and it becomes a whole nother language of sales, going through that paperwork and making them feel comfortable with you.
So we have some conversation in the chat about finding someone to shadow with. There's lots of different resources. Talk to your coach, talk to your ALC, their agents. They may even have an opportunity for you to help at an open house. Your coaches I certainly get requests all the time from agents saying like, hey, who do you know that might want to help me at an open house. If you can help at an open house, you likely can get into a relationship with that agent and offer to help with other things. And sometimes it will, blossom into a great thing, right? So you just have to put yourself out there. And I know pre-COVID, we would suggest like introduce yourself, offer to meet in the office or have coffee, or do these different things to get to know agents so that you can help them and learn at the same time. Well, there was another thing in the chat. What was the other thing?
And a great script for Facebook too. If you are going to go on your private Market Center Facebook page, I would simply write, I'm wondering if anyone has an open house that I can assist with, so I can learn your standards, so I can do one for you in the future, right? Because left to their own devices, you say, can I do an open house for you? The veteran agent's going to say, yeah, do a 7th level open house for me. And they've never done a 7th level open house. And if you know not of what I speak, it's page 71 in Shift is the 7th level open house. All right. I want to go with you, Tim Greer, so I can learn your standards, so I can host one for you in the future. Would that be okay? And to Erin's point, I go, he likes me, I like him, we're getting along. Then he drags me on a listing appointment, right? Then he has me start to do some other stuff for him. And if nothing else, I get to Skywalker to his Yoda, and then I'm eventually going to be on my way. Now I have these conversations locally at your Market Center, because your Market Center may have mentorship programs.
Right.
There may be teams that are looking for emerging talent. So make sure that you talk to the resources at your Market Center about all of these opportunities.
Yeah, and we had somebody on our Market Center page put a video offering to help.
Yes.
I was like, go girl, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So get creative, because if other people are just putting a written post and someone's putting it's impactful, right? Communication, 55% of that's body language. So do a video and put it out there on the Facebook page, letting them know how much you want to help. Someone's asking where they can find the rules and regulations of your state. Go to your leadership. They can help you with that. You should have either a coach or a team lead or somebody that can get you that information. I am not a Massachusetts agent, so I can't help you with that one. But script practice. Yeah, we definitely want to be practicing that stuff. And lead generation. So we're going to just talk about it again, because we really can't talk about it enough. Building that into your habit. And I really want to encourage you guys to find more than one lead generating source. Go through several of them. It's powerful to be able, and it helps you with your scripting and how you're communicating with your clients. Expireds. Folks, there's a lot of expireds out there that go back 2 years. Some of those people never sold. They might still have a motivation to sell. They raised their hand once. Maybe they'll raise it again. Maybe nobody else has called them. There are other agents not calling them because they're not relisted with them. So I encourage you to, learn about expireds, learn about for sale by owners. I have somebody on my team that's really focusing on for sale by owners, and his first listing was a for sale by owner.
Can we find full sale by owner on MLS?
No, I can't speak to everyone's MLS. You have to go to some other sources. There's for sale by owner sites that they register on. I know here in New Hampshire, that would be more of an entry only listing, which is not exactly the same as a for sale by owner. Some for sale by owners put them on Craigslist. There are resources for that. And that too, put that out on your Market Center's Facebook page. If you can't find something, there might be a seasoned agent there that has already done that, and maybe they're not doing that anymore, that can guide you on where to get those sources. And Google for sale by owners in your state. You might find some there. They're definitely out there. We're seeing for sale by owners in this market, a lot of them.
You'd find it on Zillow.
Ugh, I hate that word. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Yep. Yeah, look there, wherever it takes.
That's our
Mix it up.
competition.
Well, they're going to be closing it down soon, but you can find it there. That's where I
Are
love
they really?
Yes. Yeah,
can I
because
find that
they're
information?
advertising on Zillow to sell their house. Yes.
Yeah, and they're a
That's where you're
brokerage.
gonna find
Yeah,
it.
the rules are changing a little there, but give them a try. But in order to get good at like expireds and FSBOs, you have to script. You have to know what to say to them because you have a short window to get attention sometimes. So what you say matters. How you say matters. Your language is important. Your tone is important. Your body language is important. All of those components are super important. So lead generate, come up with some different sources. And when you're time blocking, you can even time block, that part we talked about before of, looking at your calendar for the next day. At the end of the day, you look at what you're doing tomorrow. Your time blocking for lead generation, be specific on what you're going to do so that, and you can have your prep done even the night before. So when you're jumping into that lead generation time slot, um, you're you're hitting the go button and you're picking up the phone because we have to actually verbally communicate with people in this business. Um, and you're getting going right away. It's not spending an hour getting ready to get ready to get ready to pick up have 30 minutes to pick up the phone because you won't get there. You won't get to the end line fast enough. Um, that would be my suggestion. And contract practice. It's imperative that we practice our contracts. And I don't want to talk about specific contracts because we all do have different states involved, but you really do have to know your contracts and know all of them. Know what your options are for people. Know the clauses that you can use to protect your people. Um, One of the great things about knowing your contracts and how to be thinking outside the box for your buyer and your seller clients is by practicing them and offering them things that other agents aren't offering them. Maybe offering, if you're practicing your purchase and sales contract, you might be able to offer a contingency or something in there that would be a creative solution to a seller. So it's hard to be a buyer's agent right now, isn't it? How do we get creative around being a strong buyer? Know your contract and know what you might be able to put into an offer that would make your person the strongest and best offer on the table on a stack of offers. If it's a seller, you have different seller scenarios all the time. Come up with solutions for them. Come up with solutions that you build into contracts for them. Tim Greer says, "Be brave enough to be bad at something new." Love that. That is awesome. Yeah, be brave enough to be bad at something new because the more you practice it, you get better at it.
You mind if
And
I just
mar-
ask, where can I learn more about contracts?
your market center. I don't know what market center you're in, but ask for the help. So our market center does an actual contracts class every week. If you don't have that, ask for it. Maybe somebody will put one together.
Thank you.
Find a mentor, find a seasoned agent in your market center, call them up, say, "I'd love to buy you a coffee." Give something to them and say, and let them know what you're doing. "I'm new. I'd really love to wrap my head around a purchase and sales agreement." I had someone do that a couple weeks ago that just called me and said, "You know what? I really could use an hour to go over the purchase and sales agreement." And I said, "Sure." I mean, remember, I had to strategically put that in my calendar at a time that wasn't taking away from my big rocks. But a lot of agents want to help people that just got their license.
Susan.
Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think your microphone is I don't know if your hair is on it or you bumped it or something, but
Is that better?
we're getting some like static.
Hold on, let me do this.
Let's see.
Is that any better?
Give us a check 1, 2. All right.
Check
yeah,
1, 2, 3.
It sounds better.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, ask for the help, Nicholas. I know that it can be hard if you don't have a weekly contracts class. If you have a productivity coach, you could ask what the resources are that are available in your market center. There's got to be somebody down there that will help you. This is Keller Williams, and I know that whatever market center you're in, there are agents that want to help. That would be my suggestion. Anyone else have a suggestion on how to get contracts?
Thank you.
Yeah, your productivity coach or your team leader should be able to point you in the direction. We do at our market center at 463, we do Wednesdays, and everybody just knows it's baked in every Wednesday. We're doing Mass, Maine, and New Hampshire in that order on a regular basis. It is that is, if you feel no need to be in any other educational initiatives, that is, you don't get a choice. Like this is, and I'm obviously speaking for our market center, but I think, we're not here to tell you how to run your business. We're here to offer best practices, and the contract is the lifeblood of what we do. That's the paperwork that controls everything that we're doing with our clients on behalf of our clients, right? And that paperwork is given to us because the governors in our respective states allow us to practice real estate. This is not a job, this is a practice, and we need to behave that way. So if you're looking for contract help, I'm sure there's some resource in your market center. Just make sure you raise your hand and ask for help, and your leadership should be able to point you in the right direction.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a lot of power behind just reading the contracts. And I know we've talked about that, but keep reading them, because some of them, man, they can get wordy. But keep reading them word for word, line by line. And it's okay if you have someone that will help you with contracts and you only get through 3 lines of a purchase and sales agreement in 1 hour. When I teach contracts class, a purchase and sales agreement is probably 3 sessions. It takes time. And don't write a contract if you don't know what you're putting in there, because your clients sign that stuff. They're responsible for it, and so are you. Okay, goals to set your career on fire. So the overall goal of Spark, and this is the last session of the Spark series, is for you guys to get your first appointment if you haven't gotten them already. So that should be your goals. So what I tell folks that are on my team, when you start setting goals, a lot of times it starts with, I want to close this many transactions this year. Well, that's great, but we always back that down to the appointments, and we actually back it down further to the contacts. So you have to have contacts in order to get appointments. You have to have appointments in order to get an agency relationship signed. You have to have an agency relationship signed to write an offer for a buyer or to list a property. You have to have the agency relationship signed before you can write an offer or receive an offer. And you have to have an offer under contract before you hit the closing table. So set challenging goals and then back them down to, what do I have to do? And this is where you start with 10 contacts added. You start with your contacts, crap in, crap out, good stuff in, good stuff out. When you're getting your contacts, get complete contact information. We want to know everything about you, mister. We want their phone number. We want their email address. We want their home address. We want to know what other decision makers are involved. We want to know their motivation. We want to know about their life. The more that we know about them, the more we can turn them into an appointment. So the purpose of the contact is that eventually that's going to be an appointment. And by the way, you don't get the appointment unless you actually ask for the appointment. So you have to ask. So maybe scripting is, how do I ask for the appointment? You got to ask for it. We drive the bus. You drive the bus in your business. You should be driving the bus in the conversations that you have. If you don't choose to be the driver, you're not going to get a contact. It just doesn't happen that way. And you should be having 10 conversations a day that are real estate related. So, all of this are tools for you because you're building your own business, but be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. If the conversation isn't about real estate, don't do a gimme and say, check mark, I got one done. Have it really be about real estate, because these goals here are set up for you to be successful. And 10 conversations that are not real estate related aren't going to build your business. They might give you a boatload of friends, but they're not going to actually transact with you, then it's not a conversation. And a conversation is two-way. So could that be a Facebook message conversation? Absolutely. If that's how you're communicating with someone and it's about real estate, I would count that as a conversation. I'm just an advocate for picking up the phone. Um, I think that there's a severe lack of people verbally communicating in our industry. Um, there's a lot of power behind picking up the phone. And especially when you're talking about the conversation, it should be the two-way, and don't build your whole business just on Facebook message. I did have an agent on my team do that. I'm like, what are you doing for 2 hours in there? Like, I haven't even heard one word come out of your mouth. He Facebook messaged every day the whole time. Guess what he didn't have? Business. Guess what he's doing most of his time? Waiting on tables. If you want to wait on tables, be the best person waiting on tables. If you want to have real estate transaction, talk to people about real estate. 10 handwritten notes. They are powerful. They're a good backup to a conversation. Build some tools in there. Take a stack of 10 out every day and put them right next to your laptop if that's what you need to do to make sure you get the 10, and say, I'm not going home until these 10 are filled out. Some people I've seen put 2 jars in front of them with 10 pens in it, and every time they talk to someone, they'll put a pen in the other jar, or maybe just an empty jar and you can put a pen in, something. But there's a lot of little tips depending on what type of how you get motivated. It's personal to you on how you want to do that. I love check boxes. When I have my list, I make a little square box in front of something that I have to do. I just get pleasure out of putting a check in it with a pen. If that works for me, it might not work for you. Find out what works for you. And then 10 home previews per week. We sell real estate. We actually have to go look at it all the time. How do you do that? If you don't have showings lined up, you do that by offering to do open houses. You do that by asking if you can shadow on a home inspection. Whew, you'll learn a ton doing that. I love home inspections. I learn stuff on home inspections all the time. And it's a great way to learn about homes, and a great way to learn about looking at a property from a perspective where you're going to be able to, in the future, help someone buy or transact or sell a home. When you go into a home, you should know what a forced hot air system looks like. If you don't, you kind of are not doing your job, because you're going to have a buyer that says, well, what kind of heating system is it? And do you want to be the person that has to go, what page on the property disclosure talks about the heating system? Wait a minute, I almost got it. You don't want to be that person. Be the person that says, oh, well, look, we can tell right here that the forced hot air system. Read the property disclosure before you go to the showing. That would be a great start too. But view 10 homes a week. If there are broker tours, sometimes there's virtual broker tours right now. That's previewing homes. That's fantastic. If you can't find a way to get into the home, be on purpose about going on to the MLS, pulling up some listings, pulling up the documentation and reading through them. Learn how to read and look at a property disclosure so that you know what kind of information is out there about different houses. Trying to think of other ways how else are you guys previewing homes, and is that a challenge for you?
My biggest challenge is I would need more practice on CMA. I did feel, and what I come up is when it comes to pricing is pretty close, but I should be doing more CMAs.
Mm-hmm. So, everyone has different opinions on CMAs. And I really like just running comps versus CMAs. But I would definitely practice that. You could take existing homes and you could comp them out and to try to provide an opinion on whether or not they're currently priced out, and then watch to see what they close at. Another great practice is pull up some like 2-year-old expired homes and now rerun comps on them. to see if, are you coming up with the same number, then you're not doing it right, because the market has definitely changed in 2 years. Most likely it's worth more money.
Right.
You could ask someone to, you could comp out a property and then ask someone else to look at it to see if they come up with the same number. There is a sweet spot. There's a definitely a gift and you have to practice CMAs to get good at them, especially, you know what is so powerful? When you get good at running comps and you're lead generating and you can comp out their home for them while you're on the phone with them, that is a good goal. That would be a big rock, people, to be able
Right.
to comp out a home during a phone call conversation so that you're adding value. That's a big rock for you right now. So put some practice into it would be my best suggestion, and then ask for help. But that's a tough one, Amber, and that's one of those things that you just have to do over and over again to get good at. How do you know these? Oh, is someone asking a question? Oh, I think Erin's handling that, so I'm going to let that go. 10 home previews per week. Anybody else having a problem with contacts, conversations, handwritten notes, or home preview, or want me to touch on any of that stuff again?
So, Susan, I just wanted to bring up another thing that comes up a lot, especially for new agents. If I was to come to your open house and I am a brand new agent, are you going to be upset with me about that?
Well, I have to tell you, my personality type is that I know. But
Yeah.
if you want to go to an open house because you want to preview a home, because I know that is a potential, I would reach out to that agent and say, can I go there 15 minutes early or after it ends to preview the home so I'm not interrupting the number of people you want in the house?
Yeah.
And I would be shocked if someone said no to that.
Yeah. So, I just know it's an insecurity that a lot of new agents have that prevents them from attending open houses. So, given it's COVID and there are maybe some different parameters right now around the number of people or how you may want to reach out to the agent and let them know, like, otherwise, if I came in and I was like, hi, I'm Erin McLaughlin, I'm with Keller Williams, I'd like to preview the property during the open house, and just like identify myself as a realtor, which is what I have always done when I go to open houses. I just identify myself as a realtor. I'm previewing the property. Thank you so much. Sometimes they'll ask for feedback. Sometimes, when agents came to mind, I would just say, thank you for coming through today. It was never an issue. Like, it's our job to be in homes. So, I mean, I think consider the COVID restrictions in your area. If there's a time limit for showings, to be respectful of the fact that you may not be bringing a buyer. But if I'm lead generating every day, could I have a buyer by the end of the day that I could match with that property? Right. So
Probably.
it's our job. So, it's just one of those things that comes up a lot for people. They feel funny going to an open
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
So,
and kind of get a little bit of thick skin wrapped around that. If they say no, who cares? Move on to the next one.
exactly.
Move on.
Yeah.
You know what? Find a vacant home. You can tell a
Yes.
home is vacant on the MLS. Look for them. And then call that agent and let them know what you're doing. And if they're from another brokerage, that's okay. I would let an agent from another brokerage view my vacant home,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you
Yep.
know, you got to learn to be bold, and you have to learn, because you know what? Your clients are going to need you to be bold, mister. They're going to need you to ask hard questions. If you can't ask it of other agents trying to figure this stuff out, you're not going to get good at asking clients hard questions or negotiating. You have to be able to ask the questions. And remember, none of this is personal. This is a business.
Right.
So if someone says no, just move on to the next thing. It's okay. Sometimes people are having a bad day and they might say no just because they're struggling with something. Just move on to, every no gets you closer to a yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I still get invited to people's open houses specifically for feedback because I have always attended open houses. I love going to them. And, I still will have agents text me like, hey, I have an open house. It's kind of near where where you live. Can you come through and just tell me? I feel like my price
Nobody's
is
having an open house where you live. You live in Bow.
They do. And I get
You and
invited, but
3 cows.
I got invited to one yesterday from an agent from another brokerage. So they're not always from KW. They just, so it builds your relationships with the agents that you're going to be working with too.
Oh
Yeah,
God, now
and-
you're going to get me down a squirrel hole of
Nope.
co-broke relationships. I'm
shut
just
it
going to
down.
refuse to go
Yep.
there.
I know.
Your favorite. Well, if I could say too, obviously, if I'm going through Dr. Kenyon's open house with one of my buyers, I'm there helping with that. If I am going through as a fellow agent, I'm walking through that property like a civilian. I'm not talking to, because everybody else in that showroom is her potential client,
Yep.
not mine. So
Yep.
I have to walk through and behave like a civilian. If I'm there as a solo artist, it's not my listing. I'm going through to build my edification, my understanding of the marketplace. I'm not having any conversations with people because you will find that that person that stands out in the driveway and hands out business cards.
Yep.
And call us. We'll have them killed, but please don't be that person because we
Yep.
don't want to have you killed. So just
Yeah.
be professional and get
Yeah,
your own listing.
Be the most professional person in the room all the time, for sure. And so when you are doing all of this, remember that you're documenting all of this stuff into Command or your database so that, you can go back and remember where you left off with people the next time you're communicating with them. Okay. I'm going to really try to be on time, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Scripts. Why is it important to learn, internalize, and personalize scripts? Boy, we've really covered that a lot today.
So I just have a quick question.
Oh, yeah,
So-
sure.
So what's the difference between comps and CMAs?
Well, comps, you're looking at a closed market. I'm looking at comps of properties that have closed. Typically, when you run a CMA, at the end, it's going to give you a price range. I like to look at comps and come up with specifics. It's just our business style that we do that. When we go on a listing presentation, our business style is that we bring comps. I don't run a specific CMA. That's just our style. But comps are what appraisers are going to use to comp out that price. So, and that's another whole conversation on appraisals and what's happening in the marketplace with that. But for me, when I talk about comps, I'm really just looking through the market at closed compared homes with, similar style, similar age, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, acreage, garage, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Okay, thanks.
You can put together a professional market analysis, and that presentation, that CMA presentation is different. It's more of a polished presentation that you would bring.
I
And
don't know if this.
to Susan's point, the comparative market analysis that you're going to the kitchen table with is going to be 93.8% closed business. You have to understand when you're sitting at the kitchen table, we also want to bring into the conversation the current active competition that's in their neighborhood too. That's part of what you can obviously analyze while you're doing that, but most people are building it off what's taken place in this area in the last 6 months, because that's what an appraiser invariably will go back and measure it against as well.
Yep, absolutely. I bring closed comps, I bring active listings, and I put pendings because we want to know what their competition is. We want to know what their
I
competition
do apologize. I don't know if this is jumping off topic a lot, but when it comes to CMAs, when I try to look up for the comps around the property, sometimes I can't find a property with the same square footage, with the same exact bedroom numbers. There's an extra bath in my property compared to the one that I'm
Yeah, some
pulling as
properties
a
are really
comparable.
challenging to
So
comp out.
how I'm not, yeah.
And sometimes you have to go
Right,
big to get
and
small.
what does that mean?
So you might have to cast a really wide net on your comps and then start drilling it down. So some areas when I'm running a comp that, I might look at, like, say there's just nothing that also has the 2-car garage. There's only comps that have no garage. I might pull that comp and use it and add on some value for the garage or an extra bedroom. So if your comps don't have the same number of a bedroom or bathroom, you just can't get there, get as close as you can and then adjust your comp up or down because you're also adjusting for the condition of the property, right? Like not every 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom colonial is the same. Some are spent. Some are awesome. So there's fluidity around those comps and you just have to play with it. Okay, daily success habits is memorizing and internalizing the scripts. I'm not going to spend, unless you guys are good or want me to do anything else on scripts. The one thing on scripts that I will say is Erin had touched on that some agents aren't confident. The scripts make you confident. The scripts build your confidence level. That's a great reason to do it also so that you're not practicing on your folks. But if you have a question on scripts, say it now or forever hold your peace because we're moving on. Okay.
Well, and we're doing prospecting tomorrow. We're kicking off elementals with section 1 tomorrow, which is prospecting. So guess what? More scripts.
There's going to be scripts. So we're not going to role play. We're almost at the end of our time. And just a reminder so this is an issue right now, right? The do not call list. It's called do not call because you're not supposed to call it. Don't call anyone on a do not call list, people. Don't get that phone call. You don't want your broker calling you saying, yeah, I got a call that you called someone on the do not call list. Those are not good calls to get. So be on purpose about doing the right thing. We always want to be the most professional person in the room. We always want to be doing the right thing. We come from a place of value and we come from a place of integrity. If you can do that, your integrity level being high will set you apart from a lot of other agents in the field. But coming from integrity means that you have integrity around every aspect of your business and your life. And one of that is knowing not to call people on the do not call list. So this page will review, you can look at it at your leisure, but it will review more information on the do not call list. And real play, lead generation, and calling scripts. We're obviously not going to have time to do that, but I know you're covering. Did lead generation already get covered in? No, that's element. I think that's coming up in elements. Guaranteed that every single Ignite session is going to keep talking about lead generation. So you're going to get a lot more about that. I know we talked about that a lot today. One of the biggest pieces for today's purpose about talking about lead generation is in the format of a day in the life and how important lead generation is to be a big rock. Update contacts and follow-up. We did talk about this with database, super important. I'm not going to actually open up command. I know you all must have resources for that within your market centers, and hopefully you have a tech person in your market center. Again, when you have questions on any of these pieces, reach out to your leadership, to your productivity coaches, to a team lead, or, there's always those agents in the office that love to help everyone. Find out who they are and learn how to add them in command. And, notes in your database are so important. I you start out thinking that you're going to remember everything about a person. And then the next time you go to call, you've talked to so many other people that you don't remember. And I wish I had time to do contract practice, but that is such a state specific thing that you're going to need to follow your state's guidelines on contracts. And I think I'm signed up for the contract to close module, which I almost always sign up for because it's my favorite topic.
Yes.
Please come to that. And we'll talk a lot about contracts on that. And creating your success list. This is a great tool, and this too is something that may make change over time. Your success list is it's a good roadmap for you. You should know what it is, what your success list is, what it is that you need to do, what you should do, what is that priority level, and what is your task. I use a notebook every day. It travels with me. I if I'm picking up my pocketbook, I'm picking up that notebook because I am such a list person. I need to know what my to-dos are, but they should be prioritized because you have time built in your day to deal with different components of your business. You're not doing your to-do list when you're doing your lead generation unless you have a specific to-do list for lead generation. Does somebody have anything on create your success list that they want to offer as a tip? Nope.
I
Okay.
think probably one of the best things we can do as a practice the night before, if you're going to be doing the Ignite thing, which is make sure you have 10 conversations tomorrow, storyboard that the night before.
Mm.
Can't say this enough. It just makes it easier. If I know I'm calling Robin Rainville, I'm going to talk to her about having dark hair and having Rain in her last name. Like, what are the other things I'm going to discuss? Can I look at Carrie Cannon and see that one of her loved ones just celebrated a birthday, or that she just went skiing? So I've got something else to talk about around the fact while I'm working through that forward conversation to get to the point where they're like, how's work or how's real estate? You know, so I've got a blueprint of what the conversations are going to look like as I go through it. And I also have the topics that will make the conversation all about them, right? That's the most important thing. So just have your 10 people. I'm going to talk. My intention is to talk to at least these first 10 people, and I've got these items to discuss with them.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're going to call expireds, pull your expireds the night before. Be prepared for that piece in your calendar for sure.
I was just gonna say there's actually a ton of neuroscience behind that. So when you're asleep, not all parts of your brain are actually asleep. So if you give it a little homework before you go to bed, the parts of your brain that are still, they will work on that for you.
I love
Like
that.
your brain works on your behalf. So it's a great hack to get ready for the next day is to just look at your calendar before you go to bed. So yeah.
I think also script practicing before you go to bed.
Yes. Yeah, I used to do that. I have like my script book and I would read it before bed as like my bedtime reading and then fall asleep.
You're such
bet
a
Matt loved
dork.
that.
Stop talking.
That's why I'm here. I'm to elevate the level of everything.
Is that what this is? Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you need anything, I'm always available to help. I know you probably have awesome people in your market center. Use them. I hope you got something out of this. And I believe in all of you. You guys chose to get your license and you chose to be here. And I know that you're going to be a success out there. So believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. Go do it. Go get an appointment today.
Thank you so much, Susan. Such a
You're
great
welcome.
job as always. Tomorrow, guys, we've got Elementals Session 1. Heidi and Matt will join us for that. Aaron and I will be here as well. And we're going to get into prospecting. We're going to pull you through the next 9 sessions, the final 9 sessions, pulling us up to toward the end of the month. We are going to do a social media class toward the end, and we're going to do a little bit of a tech talk too, and make sure that we're going to bring in our market center tech trainer, Robert Vincent. And between him and myself and Aaron, hopefully be able to help you guys with some of the stuff that's not covered in here necessarily. And we can make sure that you have a better understanding about your access to Command, what you should be using Command for, and hopefully redirect you to some of the resources you have at your market center to make sure you're exhausting all those conversations, because there's probably a lot of people at your market center that you're just not in relationship with that would love to help you. So
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Questions, comments, concerns before we go, if anybody has anything before we step out. And look at Susan Kenyon, mic drop before 11:59. Nice work, kid.
I really that
I mean, it's a headset. You can't drop it, but you know what I mean.
I know. I was
you're picking
really
up what I'm
working. I'm
putting
like,
down.
I can't be late this time.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody.
See you tomorrow.